Chapter 564. This feeling was indescribable, but it was real. Just like when Chun Hao and Long Yi first met, they felt like old friends at first sight. When Chun Hao's real body appeared and his aura returned, Long Ting felt like she had seen someone familiar. It was obviously the first time she saw the real person, and it was impossible for them to have any interaction, but she felt like she had seen him before in some corner of her memory. There was an epiphany of "so it's you." But it was followed by a confusion of "who is it?" Did it appear in a dream, or in the corner of her soul memory? Or was it a chance encounter in the 100 reincarnations that awakened the feeling of 100 reincarnations? Or was it a past life, a past life, a past life? There was no answer. But the feeling was real. And that was familiarity. Hugh. No wonder Big Brother said we felt like old friends at first sight. I also have this feeling, do you have it too? Long Ting was stunned for a moment. Looking at the smiling Chun Hao, she suddenly felt a lot closer and asked, "If not, do you think I'm the kind of person who would stick to a beautiful girl whenever I see one?" Chun Hao said, "Haha." Long Ting laughed exaggeratedly without caring about her image and said, "That's what I thought. I thought it was my charm that attracted you. It's Sister Long and you're secretly sizing me up. Haha. Then it seems that my charm is not bad. Knowing this, you still didn't give me a look. Could it be that you feel a little moved?" Chun Hao's mouth curved up slightly, revealing his signature evil charm. "Bah! Who's moved by you? I'm just giving face to my big brother. Besides, you are now a famous genius in the vast universe galaxy. I can't be angry with you just because of a look, right?" The two of them were like friends who had known each other for many years. They joked without restraint as they walked into the magnificent palace together. What made Chun Hao feel slightly strange was that he didn't see anyone along the way. Although he didn't dare to release his powerful soul perception out of politeness, he naturally sensed that there were no cultivators within a few thousand meters of him. "Why are there so few people in your family?" Chun Hao couldn't help but ask. "How are there few? There is no one. Didn't you see the token that opened the door just now? No one." "That's right. Although our clan is known as the Long Clan, we only have 39 members in total. Why are there so few?" Chun Hao was a little surprised. "This question, I can't answer you. It's our family's secret," Long Ting said, a little embarrassed. In fact, by saying that it was a family secret, she had already revealed the secret. This was because, to the outside world, the Long family didn't seem to care about reproduction at all. However, even though Long Ting knew that she couldn't say it, she still couldn't help but tell Chun Hao. This was her family's secret. But after saying that, he regretted it and hurriedly added, "This is our family's secret, and it's also a secret. You have to keep it a secret." "Ahem. Okay," Chun Hao said. However, he was even more curious. What kind of secret could it be? However, looking at Long Ting's careful appearance, he probably wouldn't be able to get anything out of her. Moreover, since she said that it was a secret, Chun Hao didn't ask anymore. "You can stay here. This is my brother's courtyard. In the middle is my brother's room. You can choose any of the other rooms." Long Ting brought Chun Hao around the spacious and huge manor. After walking quickly for a full 10 minutes, they arrived at a small courtyard filled with exotic flowers and plants. The environment was unique and elegant. "Okay. Next to it is my courtyard. I'll go get you something delicious to eat. Do you want it?" Something delicious to eat? Chun Hao was slightly stunned. Ever since he stepped into the cultivation world, his appetite for food was close to non-existent. Only when he was with Huyen Aobua and the others, he would often drink a little wine. Basically, all his energy was put into cultivation. What enjoyment of life, it was close to non-existent. Because of this, Long Ting's words, while making Chun Hao surprised, also touched a certain nerve of Chun Hao's. "Yeah, you don't like it? If you don't like it, then forget it. You must be like my brother, only knowing how to cultivate. How boring," Long Ting said, a little unhappy. I didn't say I don't like it. If it's delicious, I naturally have to taste it. Let's go." Chun Hao was stunned for a moment and said, "You're dealing with me again. Forget it. I don't like to force things. You go cultivate." "Sister Ting, I'm serious. You can't be so cruel as to evoke the desire that I've hidden for so many years and then tell me that you don't want to do it anymore. What are you talking about? Long Ting pinched her nose and said with a slightly red face. But after speaking, she still pulled Chen Hao's sleeve and walked towards her courtyard. It seems like there's something wrong with what I said. Don't let this girl misunderstand that I have that kind of meaning. And I have to be careful. Chen Hao caught the shy expression on Long Ting's face and thought to himself. In the room, the furnishings were so luxurious that it made Chen Hao dizzy. Any random chair was made from rare and precious 10,000-year-old spiritual wood. There were also many small trinkets made from precious materials, but they were casually placed. This was a little out of Chen Hao's expectations. This was obviously Long Ting's private living room. Shouldn't it be the same as hers, neatly arranged and clean? What's there to see? It's just a little messy. Sit, I'll go get some food. You can't judge a book by its cover. Chen Hao casually sent out a stream of energy and gathered the small trinkets beside the chair together, piling them in a corner before sitting down. Not long after, Long Ting used her inner yuan to carry over 10 steaming hot and exquisite dishes and happily placed them in front of Chen Hao. Then, after passing Chen Hao a bowl and chopsticks, she stared at the shocked face of Chen Hao and said, "Try the taste and see how it tastes? I've recently come up with a few side dishes. They're very delicious." Ahem. Sister Ting, can I say, you're recklessly wasting God's gift? Chen Hao looked at Long Ting's expression. He knew that what he should do was to first take a bite, then close his eyes, and put on an intoxicated expression. Then, like a hurricane, he wolfed down all the food in front of him. After that, he stared at Long Ting with a face full of worship, with tears streaming down his face, and said, "It's too delicious, too delicious. In the future, if I can't eat food like this, how can I live?" But in the end, Chen Hao couldn't hold back and spoke his mind. Damn it. Was this a side dish? Every side dish on the Wuxia star would be fought over by several major forces. Although Chen Hao didn't know much about the price of the spiritual objects of heaven and earth on the Yang star, he could estimate that the value of these 12 dishes was at least 100,000 immortal yuan crystals, just by sensing the aura contained in them. Moreover, the knowledgeable old god was still introducing them in his mind. However, Long Ting had turned these precious spiritual herbs into side dishes. Long Ting's expectant expression changed bit by bit after hearing Chen Hao's words. In the end, she stared fiercely at Chen Hao and said angrily, "Are you going to eat or not?" She almost put one hand on her waist and pointed at Chen Hao's nose with the other. "Yes, I'll eat," Chen Hao said hurriedly. Then, knowing that he had said something wrong, he decisively acted out a scene from the classic comedy God of Cookery that had been going on for a long time on Earth. Pfft! This made Long Ting burst out laughing. In fact, she wasn't angry at Chen Hao's words at all. After all, how could she not know the value of the ingredients she had used? It wasn't the first time she had heard Chen Hao's words. Even her brother had said the same thing, but it wasn't as serious as Chen Hao had made it out to be. In fact, it was a little wasteful, but their family could afford it. "You don't have to make me happy. It's delicious, but your acting is too exaggerated." I haven't eaten yet, but you've already finished it." "Ahem, it's too delicious. I couldn't help it." Chen Hao wiped the oil stains on his mouth and said, "You can cook some more. There are no more ingredients, and I still have to buy more." "No, you have to come with me." Long Ting pulled Chen Hao out of the house. "Young master, they've come out again." When Long Ting and Chen Hao, who had disguised himself again, walked out of the Long residence together, a cultivator who looked like an ordinary passerby with a weak aura sent out a message from the second world. Even with Chen Hao's incomparably powerful perception, he didn't discover that he was being followed. One could imagine how high the cultivation of the person who came was. "You still can't confirm who it is?" Yes, the other party still changed his appearance and aura. However, he shouldn't be chasing after any of the Miss Long otherwise. I could more or less sense it. Yes. Follow them, I'll be back soon. I want to see who it is that Long Ting would actually personally receive. Yes, young master. The old man leisurely followed Chen Hao and Long Ting from afar. This wasn't the first time he had followed them like this. Moreover, with his cultivation, he definitely wouldn't be discovered by Long Ting. In fact, he didn't have any ill intentions. He was just following his young master. They look very intimate. I'm afraid young master will go crazy later. Who could it be? His cultivation is only at the peak of the advanced stage of the human celestial stage, but his aura is not weaker than Long Yi's. Could it be a genius from another main planet of the vast universe star system? Well, it should be possible. But no one on the Asianing planet dares to disrespect young master. This is the largest market for spiritual items of heaven and earth in Xiantian City. Almost all the cultivators in the Asianing planet come here to buy spiritual items of heaven and earth above the mid-range. Long Ting introduced the market to Chen Hao while looking for what she wanted. Chen Hao was completely stunned by the scene in front of him. Although he had long known that Xiantian City was the gathering place of the top forces and experts on the Asianing planet, he didn't expect the so-called market for spiritual items of heaven and earth to be so powerful. All kinds of precious spiritual herbs were placed in rows on the stalls on both sides of the street like a vegetable market. If it weren't for the protective seals that prevented spiritual energy from leaking out, it would really be like a vegetable market. Chapter 565. This together, all of these, looking at Long Ting asking the attendant to take out the spiritual items without even asking the price, Chen Hao, who did not want others to think that he was a country bumpkin and had no magnanimity, had been holding back. But in the end, he was still defeated by Long Ting. This was completely Jin Ling's first time entering a market, and he was destined to be a big fat sheep being slaughtered by the vendors. Sister Ting, these are not clearly marked with prices. I know, what's the matter? Don't you think that we should bargain? Bargain? Haha. They don't dare to sell to me at a high price. Our family is also one of the bosses here, and we enjoy the lowest discount. Right, if you like anything, just say it, I'll give it to you. Chen Hao did not speak. All along, this brother had thought that he was very rich. But now he finally knew what it meant to be rich. This was the real fair, rich, and beautiful. Fortunately, Chen Hao was not a softie, and he did not have the idea of being a gigolo. Otherwise, if he was thick-skinned and picked some, it would definitely not be a problem. It was more than 100,000 immortal core crystals. Enough for an ordinary cultivator to be extravagant for a while. The meal he had just eaten was also worth 100,000 immortal core crystals. It's about enough to eat for a while. It's your first time in Xiantian City. Do you want me to show you around? No need. There's nothing much to show. I recently encountered a bottleneck in my cultivation, and I need to comprehend more. Chen Hao said immediately. Show him around? Show him around? In this awesome place he faced all the awesome things. Unfortunately, there was no awesome wealth. Was he looking for trouble? If he had not transferred the immortal core crystals to Chen Shui and the rest, he could still buy some things that he liked. Now he could only stare. Is that so? Alright then, we'll. Ting Ting? What a coincidence. You're also here to buy things? At this moment, a young man who was walking out suddenly saw Long Ting. He exclaimed in surprise and quickly walked over. This young man was tall and slender, and he was handsome and outstanding. He belonged to the kind of person who made people feel cold at first glance. His aura was like a sharp sword, and he did not need to be deliberate at all. And his sword chi soared into the sky. What a sharp aura. Chen Hao was slightly surprised when he sensed the young man's aura. Even Long Yi could not give him such a feeling. Yeah, Brother Tian, didn't you go to do a mission? After Long Ting saw the person who had come, she was slightly surprised. She seemed to want to take a step forward and block in front of Chen Hao, but then she seemed to have thought of something. Her footsteps stopped abruptly and she said with a smile. I've been back for 2 days. And this is... Sure enough, as Long Ting expected, the youth she addressed as Brother Tian raised his sword-like brows as he looked at Chen Hao and asked. Chen Hao, who was hidden under the black bamboo hat, frowned slightly. Since he had changed his appearance and aura, he naturally didn't want to reveal his true appearance. However, the young man didn't seem to notice this and asked in an unreserved manner. A new friend of mine. It's inconvenient to reveal his true identity. You should have a chance to get to know him in the future, right? My friend's strength is very strong. He may be on the same level as my brother. Huh. Long Ting looked at Chun Hao with an imperceptible mischievous look in her eyes and said, "Is that so?" The young man surnamed Tian looked at Chun Hao again, and asked indifferently in a condescending and provocative manner. "Of course. Brother John Doe, let me introduce." Long Ting simply wanted to watch a good show. She directly tugged at Chun Hao's sleeve and called him Brother John Doe. "This is the famous Tianjin from the Yang planet. You should have heard of him, right?" But she knew in her heart that Chun Hao should not have heard of him. After all, she knew that Chun Hao had just arrived at the Yang planet not long ago. Although Tianjin was famous, he had not reached the point where everyone knew him. The reason why she asked this question was completely intentional. "Sorry, brother. I can tell at first glance that you are an expert among experts, a genius among geniuses. You are like a sword, and your heart is like a sword. Your sword chi soars into the sky as if it is going to break the firmament. Although I have never heard of you, I am definitely ignorant. After all, I have just arrived at the Yang planet," Chun Hao said. How could the astute Chun Hao not see through Long Ting's little trick? He had no time to play this kind of trick. Therefore, he turned a blind eye to Tianjin's provocative look. Instead, he spoke very honestly. His words of praise were not flattery, but the truth. The young man in front of him did give him a very dangerous feeling. In particular, the young man was at the peak of the initial stage of the Earth's celestial stage. "It seems that you are an expert in the way of the sword. That's good." Before Long Ting could speak, Tianjin, who was staring at Chun Hao, spoke. His eyes were still full of provocation, and even aggressiveness. It seemed that he was not affected by Chun Hao's compliment at all. Chun Hao was slightly taken aback. "Who the hell is this guy? He is like a thorn. Did I offend you?" "Brother Tian, are you going to challenge me again? Brother John Doe is just like my brother. He deliberately imprisons himself in the human celestial stage. You are already in the Earth celestial stage. Is there a need for that?" Long Ting was very dissatisfied with Chun Hao's performance. Therefore, she ignored Chun Hao's obvious intention of not wanting to complicate matters. Instead, she looked at Tianjin and said, "How can I, Tianjin, miss this opportunity to make Tingting say that he's strong and comparable to your brother? John Doe, I, Tianjin, have no right to call you John Doe. I want to challenge you. Do you dare to accept?" "Oh, I forgot. Since you have never heard of my name, you must not know my character. Whether you agree or not, you have to agree in the end. Don't worry, I won't force you." Fuck. Chun Hao cursed in his heart. Is this not forcing me? What does it mean to be forcing me? Yes. Brother John Doe, Brother Tian will challenge anyone of the same age as him. He is a famous challenge maniac in the Xiantian city. He will not give up until he achieves his goal. Whether you agree or not, he will agree in the end. He is not forcing you, he is pestering you. Also, don't worry, he will control his realm to be the same as yours. Well, strictly speaking, Brother Tian is my brother's best friend. Ha. Long Ting stepped between the two of them and said. Long Ting's meaning was like a louse on a monk's head. It was too obvious. It was nothing more than telling Chun Hao, just fight. Nothing will happen, and there's no need to be afraid of offending others. Maybe in the future. For now, I don't have the time or the mood. Chun Hao glared at Long Ting. Although they were separated by the black veil of the bamboo hat, Long Ting could feel Chun Hao's dissatisfaction. Chun Hao continued, by the way, I won't go back with you. When your brother comes back, tell him that I have something urgent to attend to. See you next time. Hiss. Before Long Ting could react, Chun Hao turned into a ray of light. His aura disappeared completely in an instant. Ah. Long Ting panicked. She did not expect Chun Hao's reaction to her actions would be so intense. She immediately regretted it. Sister Ting, I don't want to expose my identity. If you want to know my strength, you can do it yourself. Why do you need an outsider to fight with me? Since this fellow is close to your brother and you, he will probably guess that it is me once we fight. Alright, I will walk around by myself. I will go back at night. Don't go, I was wrong. Long Ting shouted to the void. It couldn't be helped. She couldn't even sense a trace of Chun Hao's aura, let alone lock onto Chun Hao and send a voice transmission. Chun Hao's sudden decision made her a little regretful, so she did not even think about it before calling him out. Unfortunately, Chunhao did not reply to her. Swish. The instant Chunhao disappeared, Tianjun's body started to move despite the absence of wind. In that instant, he raised his senses to the maximum, spreading them out in all directions. Was he trying to hide and escape? What a joke. If I, Tianjun, was so simple, I would not be famous for being difficult to deal with. However, how is this possible? Tianjun was dumbfounded. He had always been confident in his powerful perception. However, he could not detect Chunhao's aura at all. More importantly, he was at the Earth Celestial stage, while his opponent was only at the Human Celestial stage. Ting Ting, who is John Doe? Brother Tian. I can't tell you. Anyway, you don't know him. It's all your fault. Why did you have to meet me at this time? If I didn't meet you, I wouldn't want you to test his strength and he wouldn't be angry with me. Ting Ting, I have to go. I suddenly remembered that I have something urgent to attend to. Oh, by the way, I got something good from this mission. I'll give it to you. Swish. Tianjun threw something to Long Ting and left in a hurry. What a joke. He was not afraid of anything. He was only afraid that his great-grandmother would be angry with him. He knew very well that he would leave after throwing something to her. Otherwise, he would be blackmailed out of many things. Humph. You ran fast. Long Ting looked at the thing in her hand and muttered to herself, and then she glanced at the surroundings. When she didn't receive any more voice transmissions from Chunhao, she knew that Chunhao had probably left, and she could only resentfully return home swiftly. Beep. Beep. Young master, you don't have to come. Huh? What's wrong? That. Just now Long Ting and that young man met Tianjun. Tianjun challenged the young man, but he avoided the challenge and left. He left? Where's Long Ting? The young man seemed to be angry with Long Ting. Long Ting took the teleportation device and went home. What surprised me was that after the young man hid, even I couldn't sense his aura. If I'm not wrong, that young man might have a high-grade saint artifact that can hide his aura. Moreover, he should be a top genius from a powerful planet in the vast universe galaxy. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to activate a high-grade saint artifact. He's that powerful. Yeah. Apart from that, there's no other reason why I couldn't sense him. Alright, you can continue to follow Long Ting. Contact me if you have the chance. Yes, young master. Chapter 566. In the secondary world, Chunhao sent a message to Long Yi, emphasizing that he could not reveal his identity. After all, he was now in the eye of the storm. Not only were the top forces of the Ying planet going to Golden Light City to rope him in, but even the forces of the vast universe galaxy would be there. If Chunhao's identity was exposed, he would be in big trouble. Who knew how many people would come after him? How could he complete his mission then? Not to mention, Chunhao was also clearly aware that some people would definitely be driven to desperate measures, and would stop at nothing to find an opportunity to eliminate him. Especially before he decided which force to join. This was undoubtedly the best opportunity. For all these reasons, Chunhao had to be cautious. After all, he only had potential, not strength. Any celestial immortal expert would be able to kill him. Brother, what should we do? He won't not come back, right? It's okay. Since he said he would go back tonight, he should be back. He should have a lot of concerns. Sister, did you ask him what he was going to do in Xiantian City this time? No. Brother, he gives me a good feeling. Like you said, we hit it off at first sight. When we're together, it's like we've known each other for years. Oh. Long Yi was slightly surprised to hear Long Ting's words. A smile appeared on his face as he stared at Long Ting. Brother, what are you doing? I don't mean anything. I just feel that he's familiar and close. That's right. I hit it off with him at first sight. That's the feeling between two men. Sister, you hit it off with him at first sight. It shouldn't be called hitting it off. It should be called love at first sight. Bah. Brother, don't talk nonsense. Ah. You're blushing. Sister, Brother Chen is really good. No matter what, he's the most outstanding person I've ever seen. If you really like him, I'll be the first to support you. But, as far as I know, he already has a cultivation partner. And it's not as simple as 2 or 3. You have to be mentally prepared. Furthermore, you should be aware of our Long clan's secret. The two of us are variables. Long Ting blushed. She had always had a brother complex. In fact, the short contact with Chun Hao was like being with her brother. It felt good, but this good feeling was not mixed with any other thoughts. However, she had never experienced a relationship between a man and a woman. She did not know if this feeling was the love at first sight that Long Yi had mentioned. It should take about a month to gather all the members. During this time, I have to complete the second world's hidden mission. Chun Hao, who had merged with all things in the world, wandered aimlessly in Xiantian City. Chun Ritian, who was in disguise in the second world, started fighting again. Ever since the first time Chun Ritian purchased a champion, he no longer needed to purchase his identity. He could be evaluated as one of the champions for the second day. The reason was very simple. With a record of 10 consecutive victories and a generous bet, just these 2 points alone were enough to instantly defeat the majority of cultivators. There was no reason for him not to be one of the champions of the second day. Moreover, as he became more and more popular, many cultivators wanted to fight with him, but could not. This directly caused the number of cultivators who applied to fight with Chun Ritian to increase their bets. I've already completed more than 300 battles, and all of them are victories. 1 month in the real world is enough for me to obtain 1,000 victories. 1 month in the real world was 10 months in the second world. It was almost 1 year in the second world, which was the limit of the mission. Now that he had more than 300 victories, he only needed 600 more to complete the requirement of 1,000 victories. 2 months in the second world would be enough. Arena? Chun Hao, who was wandering, was suddenly attracted by a huge signboard. The words arena were exactly the same as the one in Yang City in the second world. Even the palace looked exactly the same from the outside. I didn't expect Xiantian City to have such a place. Let's go in and take a look. Chun Hao was wandering aimlessly. Now that he saw the arena that looked exactly the same as the one in the second world, he suddenly had the desire to see the cultivators in Xiantian City. After paying the same price as the entrance ticket in the second world, Chun Hao entered. At that moment, he had the illusion that he had entered the second world. That was because the aura here was too similar to that of the second world. Countless cultivators filled the arena, and the various levels of the arena were exactly the same as the one in the second world. Only the manual in his hand allowed Chun Hao to understand that the fighting mode here was different from that of the second world. That was because no one could fight continuously in the real world, and no one could instantly recover to their peak state after a battle. Similarly, the life and death here was real life and death. In fact, this was the place where cultivators would fight to the death or spar. Amazing! So ruthless. In just a few minutes of watching, Chun Hao was shocked and excited at the same time. It also made him realize that the second world was the second world. It could not be compared to the real world. The cruelty of the real world, and the nature of not being able to revive made the fighting here very intense. It was far from what the second world could compare to. Chun Hao was sure that the same person could not unleash 90% of their combat power in the second world. Here, under the pressure of the life and death situation, the power of the small universe far exceeded that of the second world. There was something more important that the second world did not have: equipment and weapons. Being strong doesn't mean that you are strong. In the real world, it's not just about one's combat power but also their dharma treasures. Luckily, I'm not in the mood to fight with Tianjun. Since that guy is on good terms with Long Yi and Long Ting, he must have an extremely high status. How can he not have powerful weapons and equipment? At that moment, Chun Hao, who was originally very confident about the impossible level mission, broke out in cold sweat. Especially when he thought about how the mission to collect the fire crystal marrow from the blazing star had to gather 100 cultivators before setting off, he felt even more uneasy. He thought that the real danger might not be the mission itself. At that thought, Chun Hao was no longer in the mood to watch the battle. He disappeared from the Xiantian city's arena. After arriving at the teleportation formation in the city, Chun Hao asked about the Xiantian city auction house, and was directly teleported to the nearest teleportation formation. Sister, don't wait any longer. Brother Chen just sent a message saying that he has something on and won't be returning to our house for the time being. Is he angry with me? I don't think so. Didn't he tell you that he would be going back? I think he really has something to do. Brother, give me his contact number. Long Ting said a little sadly. Long Yi understood his sister's character. Although she was a little unreasonable and short-tempered in some aspects, she had a good heart. Similarly, he also felt that Chen Hao would not blame Long Ting for such a small matter. However, even he was not sure why Chen Hao would not be returning to the Long family. Of course, he also did not know why Chen Hao would come to Xiantian City at such a crucial time. Wait a moment then. Long Yi thought about it and sent a message to Chen Hao first. A moment later, Long Ting received Chen Hao's contact number. Before she could send a message, she received a message from Chen Hao. After reading the message, Long Ting smiled. Sister, what did he say? Nothing much. He just said that he's not angry with me at all. After he's done with his business, he'll come to our house. Oh, that's good. I'll be home the day after tomorrow. We'll talk about it then. Unfortunately, when Long Yi returned home, Chen Hao was still not there. However, in the second world, Chen Hao told Long Yi and Long Ting that he would need at least 10 days to half a month. This made Long Yi and Long Ting even more curious about what Chen Hao was doing. Although they asked, Chen Hao did not say anything, so they were too embarrassed to ask. On the other hand, Tianjin rushed over on the second day, after Long Yi's return. He looked a little excited as he told Long Yi and Long Ting a piece of news. Then, the three of them walked out of the Long residence and headed to the auction house. According to the news from the auction house, there are all kinds of origin stones being auctioned this time. There's even a high-quality spirit spring. How shocking. That's right. When I heard this news, I rushed back without stopping. I feel that there's something fishy going on. What do you mean? Think about it. Origin stones, no matter the quality, are extremely rare items. If there's one that suits you, even if the quality is low, someone will bid for it at a high price. This is not the usual style of the auction house. How can they not say that the benefits are the most important? This news is so rushed. Although it's spread widely, you still have to have time to rush back. According to the usual style of the auction house, they'll definitely do their best to promote it. At the very least, they'll have to arrange it for the auction in a month, right? That's true. However, according to the insider news I received, the seller wants to auction it immediately. Besides, with the reputation of the auction house, it's impossible for them to release fake news. Oh, since that's the case, there shouldn't be any problems. I hope there'll be the origin stones I need. In the auction house, according to the usual practice, today was a traditional small-scale auction. It was the kind that was held every day, and the items being auctioned should not be of great value. However, when Long Yi, Long Ting, and Tianjin entered the auction house, the number of cultivators there was no less than a large-scale auction that had been promoted. Moreover, the buzz of discussion directly explained the reason. It was the extremely rare origin stones and supreme-grade spirit spring in the world of cultivation. Of course, most people were here for the origin stones. This did not mean that supreme-grade spirit spring was not as precious as origin stones, but the audience was different. The auction price of supreme-grade spirit spring would definitely be higher. However, the cultivators who came for the supreme-grade spirit spring were only weapon refiners. No one would use something as precious as supreme-grade spirit spring as energy liquid to cultivate. Chen Hao, who had been in a closed VIP seat for a long time, was sipping tea and eating exquisite snacks. At this moment, he was in an incomparably wonderful mood. He had long known that the rotten stones obtained from the primordial space were valuable, but he did not expect them to be so valuable. It was worlds apart from what he had imagined. Even the old god did not expect this. No wonder senior brother was so excited when I gave him this kind of stone. At this moment, Chen Hao also recalled Heavenly Venerable Yuanru's shock and excitement when he had given him some rotten stones, in the Silver Wing ship when he had borrowed immortal origin crystals from him. Although the quality is low, I have a lot of them. Hehe. Chen Hao felt as if he had struck it rich overnight. Chapter 567. Originally, Chen Hao had come to sell the rotten stones and the supreme-grade spiritual spring because he had been stimulated by the real arena. Everything can only be prepared and not used, but not used and not prepared. Moreover, his impossible-level mission this time was not as simple as just completing the mission. What had Tantai Lian encountered in it, and whether he could rescue her after he went in? These were all unknown. The only thing he knew was that the real difficulty after he went in might not be the mission itself, but the cultivators who would come in after a period of time. The starting point of this impossible-level mission was the headquarters of the Alliance in Xiantian City. Obviously, this mission was for all the cultivators on the Asianing planet. It would gather the top cultivators in the human celestial stage on the Asianing planet. After all, not many people were as crazy as Tantai Lian. Moreover, after reading the specific description of this impossible-level mission at the headquarters of the Alliance, Chen Hao vaguely understood the real reason why Tantai Lian had chosen this impossible-level mission. Seeing more and more cultivators coming in, Chen Hao became more and more confident about the wealth he was about to obtain. However, at this moment he suddenly saw three familiar figures: Long Yi Longting and the idiotic challenge maniac Tianjun. Why are they here too? Could it be that they are also here for my rotten stones? Chen Hao thought to himself. However, after thinking about it, he decided not to say anything for the time being. There were a total of 400,000 cultivators in the massive auction hall. Even though it was still a distance away from the number of people in a large-scale auction, it was still 4 to 5 times the number of people in a small-scale auction. Furthermore, more cultivators were still rushing over. After an hour, the auction officially began. An old man with an immortal aura and a radiant smile appeared in the arena. The moment the old man appeared, many people in the auction hall exclaimed in surprise. However, they soon quieted down. Chen Hao also learned the reason from the crowd's discussion. It turned out that this old man was a senior auctioneer who only appeared in large-scale auctions. His appearance today surprised everyone at first. However, when they thought about the items to be auctioned, they were not surprised. Everyone, I'm very sorry. This was supposed to be a small-scale auction, but it has become a large-scale auction. Many of you must have rushed back after receiving the news. Our auction house would like to express our apologies for any inconvenience caused by this situation. However, it is precisely because of the haste of the auction that the competition among all of you will be a little smaller. Haha. Alright, let the auction begin. The first round would be 100 sets of origin stones of different attributes. Each group had 10 pieces of the same attribute. The starting price was 10,000 immortal essence crystals. Each increment must be no less than 100. Voila! The short opening speech caused an uproar in the entire auction house. From the very beginning? Or 100 sets? Amazing! It looked like the amount of origin stones that the seller had provided this time was definitely considerable. Let's see the quality of these 100 sets. Phew. I hope it has the attributes I need. The first group has 10 metal-type origin stones, low grade. Let the bidding begin. 20,000. As soon as the old auctioneer finished speaking, a young lady holding 10 pieces of the rotten stones that Chen Hao had mentioned zoomed in and displayed them on a huge screen. A young cultivator at the human celestial stage, sitting in the front row, raised the price by 10,000 directly. He looked like he was determined to win. Damn it. He raised the price by 10,000 directly. What an idiot. Isn't he trying to drive up the price? You can't say that. The one who strikes first gains the advantage, and the one who strikes last suffers. The origin stones have only attracted the attention of the cultivation world in recent years. No one knew whether they existed or not, but no one knew their value. Basically, they were used as ordinary energy stones or refining materials. Now on the entire Asianing planet, who doesn't know their value? Just wait and see, the competition will be even fiercer later. Two cultivators discussed in private. At the same time, the second person to speak also raised the price by 1,000 directly, breaking the short silence. 30,000 stones. However, he did not expect the first bidder to raise the price by another 9,000 stones. Countless cultivators booed. If the young man who made the bid was not a well-known good-for-nothing disciple of the 5 big families of the Asianing planet, he would have been regarded as a pawn of the arena. Ah, what a freak. Was he born to help me? In the VIP box, Chen Hao had a panoramic view of the scene outside, so he naturally saw who the young man who made the bid was. If it was not Shimin Feng, then who was the guy who gave him goosebumps and made him feel too embarrassed to kill? 30,000 stones, going once. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? Since everyone has rushed here, I'm sure you're all aware of the rarity and huge demand for the origin stones. A few years ago, some appeared on our Asianing planet. Fortunately, our auction house discovered its true value, and it attracted everyone's attention. Unfortunately, the number of stones that have appeared in recent years is very limited, far from being able to meet everyone's needs. If you missed this opportunity, 30,000 stones going twice. 31,000 stones. 40,000 stones. As soon as the other party finished speaking, Shimin Feng raised the price by another 9,000 stones without giving the crowd any time to breathe. Humph, I'll take all the metal attribute stones. Who dares to bid? Not only did Shimin Feng bid, but he also added an extremely arrogant sentence. Damn it, this is a prodigal lunatic. Only an idiot would play with him. The cultivator who bid 31,000 sat down gloomily. Damn it. Although I'm very happy, isn't this guy too stupid? If his enemy was here, why would he just watch? Although Chen Hao was very happy, he also expressed sympathy for this guy's IQ. 41,000 stones. Sure enough, a calm voice came from not far away from Shimin Feng. It came from the mouth of a youth who was also in the VIP seats. As the young man spoke, he looked at Shimin Feng provocatively. Obviously, Chen Hao had guessed correctly. The two of them did not get along well. Idiot, however, Chen Hao had guessed the process but not the ending. The seemingly stupid Shimin Feng actually showed a smug look on his face when he heard the young man's bid. He softly spat out 2 words and sat down directly. In the end, the young man got it at the price of 41,000 stones. This made Chen Hao a little dumbfounded. Similarly, all the cultivators who knew Shimin Feng were also a little dumbfounded. When did this guy become so smart? As for the guy who was cheated by Shimin Feng, he was so angry that his teeth were chattering. 41,000 immortal essence crystals were nothing to him. The set of origin source stones that he had obtained was estimated to be worth at least 20,000 immortal essence crystals. In fact, he lost less than 20,000 stones. But it was embarrassing. He was actually cheated by a legendary hedonist and idiot. In the eyes of others, wouldn't he be even more of an idiot? Next were the 3 sets of wood, water, and fire attribute stones, all of which were low-grade. The intensity of the auction was far from that of the first set. But in the end, Chen Hao was very satisfied with the final price. They were all sold for around 25,000 crystals. Next is the first set of earth attribute origin stones. The auction starts now. Please make your bids. 30,000 stones. Shimin Feng finally made his move again. He was still as domineering as before, directly increasing the price to 30,000 stones. The reason was very simple. He knew that someone would definitely make a move. For 31,000 stones. The young man who was cheated wanted to make a move without thinking. But just as he said 4 words, he saw Shimin Feng's provocative gaze and hurriedly changed his words. You think I'm an idiot? If you have the guts, make your bid again. 31,000 stones going once. 35,000 stones. Injuring the enemy 1,000 and losing 500. Seems not bad. Shimin Feng seemed to hesitate and made his bid again. 35,100 stones. These attributes are useless to me. I'd better give up. Playing with idiots is boring. Shimin Feng completed his goal and sat down directly. And the guy who was cheated twice in a row was so angry that his face turned green. These were the attributes that he needed. He bought what he needed at a price of 10,000 more than others. He didn't even care about this at all. How infuriating. If you have the guts, don't make a move. What's a little bit of money? I'll make sure you can't buy what you need. Then I'll play with you. Next were the derivative attributes. The first one was the derivative of the metal attribute and the thunder attribute. Everyone thought that Shimin Feng would make a move, but this time he didn't, so the young man who was prepared to fight with Shimin Feng couldn't do anything. However, everyone realized that the price of the auction was slowly increasing. Although it didn't increase by much after dozens of sets, the price also increased to about 30,000 per set. After the first 100 sets were auctioned, it reached 35,000. This was something that no one had expected. Beep beep beep. In the second world, Chunhao received a transfer message from the wealth card. Shockingly, the proceeds from the first round of 100 sets of origin stones had arrived. Deducting the 5% commission from the auction house, Chunhao had a total of 2.87 million immortal core crystals. According to the current market, getting 10 million immortal core crystals shouldn't be a big problem. It's barely enough for me to purchase mineral veins. Chunhao thought to himself. Chunhao had already consulted the market about the price of mineral veins. Rare and precious mineral veins with special functions were naturally only available in the auction house. Precious mineral veins with large production volumes were clearly marked with prices, and these were naturally what Chunhao needed. It was also because of this that Chunhao had agreed with the auction house in advance that the first round would be auctioning 100 sets of origin stones. He also asked the other party to make a timely transfer, so that he would have the capital to make a move when he saw the mineral veins he needed. This was because what he wanted to refine was not only equipment and weapons, but also his own aircraft. The Silver Wings modification was already very impressive, but unfortunately, it was a public aircraft on the Wuxia planet, and he couldn't take it away. Moreover, he didn't need such a big aircraft for the time being. Firstly, if he could bring such a big aircraft with him, once it was discovered, it would definitely cause a commotion. After all, no one's mind could store such a big thing, not even a heavenly celestial expert. Otherwise, the Silver Wing wouldn't have stopped at the designated aircraft parking area in Golden Light City. Secondly, he didn't have the capital to purchase such a large amount of materials. The only thing that Chunhao regretted a little was that he had used all the materials he had obtained on the Silver Wing. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have sold so many origin stones and supreme-grade spirit spring water, if he could have kept some for himself. Chapter 568. Although the following items were not bad, most people were not interested in them. After all, this was a small auction. Many cultivators were gathered because of the origin source stones and supreme-grade spirit spring water. Most of them were here for the origin source stones, and a small number of powerful blacksmiths were here for the supreme-grade spirit spring water. Of course, the main reason was that other than the origin source stones and supreme-grade spirit spring water, an auction house that was not fully prepared could not gather anything of great value. The ore veins that were auctioned had special uses, but were not very precious. Even if the blacksmiths who were here for the supreme-grade spirit spring water took a fancy to it, they did not dare to make a big move because they had to bid for the supreme-grade spirit spring water. This allowed Chunhao to bid for quite a few ore veins, and the competition was not very fierce. At the end of the auction, the second round of origin source stones appeared again. It was still 100 sets of inferior-grade origin source stones. This situation was a little unexpected. Originally, they thought that there would be at least 2 rounds of inferior-grade origin source stones in the middle and end of the auction since there were 100 sets of inferior-grade origin source stones at the beginning. Why were they still inferior-grade origin source stones? Or rather, were the origin source stones only inferior-grade origin source stones this time? This situation made some cultivators who were prepared to bid for better quality origin source stones a little depressed. However, they were afraid that it would be the same later on, so most of them could not help but make a move. Although the inferior-grade origin source stones were bad, it was better than returning empty-handed. Looking at the hundreds of thousands of competitors present, it was obvious that many people were destined to fail. Therefore, the scene directly exceeded Chunhao's expectations and became very popular. This made the guy who had been defeated by Shimin Feng feel proud. At the same time, many cultivators who had originally thought that the guy was stupid became envious. The reason was very simple. The price of each set, regardless of attribute, was raised to 50,000 immortal origin crystals after just 30 sets. However, when it reached 50,000, no one was willing to bid any higher. Generally speaking, cultivators were still rational. Although origin source stones were rare, there was a trend of gradually increasing since its true value was discovered. In order to get it early, only the truly rich would spend too much. Even Long Yi, Long Ting, and Tianjun made a move. Long Yi bid for the metal attribute and thunder attribute sets. Long Ting bid for the wood attribute and wind attribute sets. And Tianjun bid for the earth attribute and dark attribute sets. They all succeeded at a price of more than 50,000 points. The only thing that Chen Hao found strange was that Shimen Feng and his opponent did not attack again. This made the auction process pale in comparison. In this round of auction, Chen Hao obtained 24 million immortal essence crystals, which was much higher than the first round. Now we will begin the final round of the Origin Stones auction. It will still be 100 sets of low-grade Origin Stones. This was his last chance. Time was money, haha. If he could get it early, then he would get the chance to comprehend the origin of his attributes. Money was just a worldly possession. If he found something suitable, then he would gladly take it. Haha. Alright, let's not waste any more time. Let's begin the bidding for the first set of metal attribute items. Although the auctioneer's words were very enticing, it was a pity that many of the truly wealthy people who should have made their moves had already made their moves. Therefore, although this round of bidding was the last chance, the price didn't continue to increase by much. In the end, it didn't exceed 60,000. However, Chen Hao's harvest in this round was undoubtedly the highest, 21 million. The harvest of the 3 rounds, excluding the top-grade Spirit Spring, exceeded Chen Hao's estimated total income of 10 million and reached 32 million. Phew. I really didn't expect this. If I had known that these lousy stones were so valuable, I wouldn't have wasted them on refining weapons. The materials that Chen Hao, the girls, the members of Aotian, and the disciples of Wuxia Immortal Palace who rushed to the Great War of the 3 Realms in the East Continent to refine treasures were all extracted from origin stones. According to the current price, the amount of origin stones spent on a single treasure was definitely enough to buy dozens or even hundreds of such treasures. This was measured in terms of treasures. If the immortal essence crystals that were sold were bought into mineral veins, and Chen Hao refined them, the difference would not be 10 times or 100 times, but thousands of times. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, there are still many 9 nether frost pools. At that time my space was limited, so I couldn't bring many. I can still get a lot of them. Besides, as long as I have time, isn't it easy for me to make money? Chen Hao thought to himself. With the existence of ancient treasures and weapon spirits, even if he were to become a weapon refiner, he could make 90% of the weapon refiners lose their jobs. Whether it was in terms of speed or quality, in front of weapon refiners of the same level, he would absolutely kill them in seconds. The only thing Chen Hao lacked was his own level of strength. Now, if he wanted to refine something powerful, he would need the help of an expert. Just like when he modified the silver wing, it was impossible to rely solely on himself. I wonder how much this 100 cubic meters of supreme-grade Spirit Spring can be sold for. 2 million should be possible, right? Originally, according to his estimation, it was at most 1 million immortal essence crystals. After all, the energy contained in 100 cubic meters of supreme-grade Spirit Spring was at most the energy of 10 immortal essence crystals. Considering the importance of supreme-grade Spirit Spring in weapon refinement, Chen Hao estimated it to be 1 million, but now it seemed that 1 million was definitely not enough. 2 million. Chen Hao had already gritted his teeth and estimated it. After all, although supreme-grade Spirit Spring was the finale of the auction, it was not as huge as Origin Stones. To Chen Hao, it was definitely not a small amount to sell for 2 million crystals in 100 cubic meters. But in the end, it made Chen Hao feel like he was slapping his own face. There were less than 100 people bidding, and the starting price was only 500,000, but in just 2 minutes, it exceeded Chen Hao's estimate of 2 million, and it was still rising crazily. When it reached 4 million, there were only 2 unidentified old men left. This was only judged from the sound, because both of them were in a private room and had concealed their auras. Neither of these two old men was angry, but they both increased the price by 100,000, making everyone in the auction house feel that these two were rich and imposing. In the end, it was won by one of the old men at a price that Chen Hao could not imagine. 8 million. Little friend, this old man is right? Haha. You're right, it's indeed far beyond my imagination. However, senior, I'm very curious, forget about origin stones. Why is the price of Supreme Grade Spirit Spring so high? It's very simple. Your Supreme Grade Spirit Spring is not a natural Supreme Grade Spirit Spring. Is there a difference? Of course there is. Natural Supreme Grade Spirit Springs are all born after tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of thousands of years of absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. It's originally a very rare thing. When refining weapons, it can be raised by a grade. In fact, the effect is definitely better than your unnatural Supreme Grade Spirit Spring, although not by much, but the value of your Spirit Spring is higher. You saw it during the auction. When the price reached 4 million, basically everyone withdrew. The reason is that a natural Supreme Grade Spirit Spring is also at this price. But the next two bidders took a fancy to the hidden value of your Spirit Spring. Hidden value. Yes. It's unnatural and condensed in a short period of time. It doesn't have the ancient aura of a natural Spirit Spring. This means that once they discover the mystery of your Spirit Spring, they can use it as a foundation to condense more Supreme Grade Spirit Springs in a short period of time. Although the possibility is very small, it's not impossible. Therefore, old man doesn't think the price of 8 million is high at all. If you give old man time to hype it up, the price will be even higher. I'm satisfied. Happy cooperation. The next time I come to the Asianing planet, I'll look for you again. Haha. Good. Little friend, these are the mineral veins you bought. The ordinary precious mineral veins you wanted are also here. Check and accept them. The prices we bought were all at the lowest discount. We directly deducted the price from the Supreme Grade Spirit Spring. This is the account, take a look and see if it's correct. There's no need to look. I trust you, senior. Chen Hao said straightforwardly. Okay, then I'll transfer the last sum to your wealth card. In the next few days of the auction, old man will try to arrange as many mineral veins for special purposes as possible. In the future, you'll enjoy VIP treatment at our auction house. I guarantee that your identity won't be leaked. Okay. Thank you very much. After bidding farewell to the old man who had specially received him, Chen Hao returned to the accommodation arranged for him by the auction house, and began to refine and purify with Old God. Without the help of energy from Heavenly Lord Yuanru and many other practitioners, Chen Hao's speed of refining the mineral veins was much slower, and the quality of the refining would also be affected. There was no other way. Chen Hao couldn't return to Golden Light City to look for Heavenly Lord Yuanru. As for others, Chen Hao couldn't look for them either. Even if he could, he wouldn't do it. This was his biggest secret, and he had no choice but to let Heavenly Lord Yuanru know about it. This was because Heavenly Lord Yuanru was trustworthy. Phew. Master asked me to participate in this impossible level mission. There must be a deep meaning. Otherwise, with my strength, I should choose an impossible level mission with a higher chance of obtaining an opportunity. Could it be that I've received inside information from the Alliance? It should be. Hee. A young man at the peak of the advanced stage of the human celestial stage with an extremely powerful aura appeared in the mission center of the Alliance headquarters, and went directly to the mission processing area. Isn't that Mo Xiaozong from the Heavenly Mist sect? The young man saw a figure at another window from afar and thought to himself. His mind immediately spread out, and he pricked up his ears. Blazing Star Flame Fire Essence Collection Mission, please help me with it. What a coincidence. The young man frowned slightly when he heard the voice from afar and said, It seems that it's inside information. Mo Xiaozong's master is also one of the higher-ups of the Asian Ing Star Alliance. There's one more competitor. Let's see who's stronger and luckier. The young man immediately activated his true core strength and instantly changed his appearance and aura. Originally, he didn't intend to hide his identity at all, but after seeing Mo Xiaozong, he changed his mind. However, What the young man didn't know was that a young cultivator, who came in later than him, had already discovered him. Chapter 569. Beep beep beep. Brother Chen, it's been half a month. Are you still busy? In the second world, a few days ago, Chen Hao, who had completed 1,000 victories under the identity of Chen Ritian, was comprehending the Heaven Dao Law in his cultivation room when he received a message from Long Yi. Soon. Chen Hao said embarrassedly. He had been staying at the auction house for the past few days to collect materials. At night, he would stay at the place that the auction house had arranged for him to cultivate. In fact, he had enough materials for this trip. The reason why Chen Hao did not go to the Long family was because he wanted to use this free time to collect some materials. Can you come to our house today? There's something very important that you should be interested in. Long Yi said seriously. What is it? We'll talk about it when you come. You have to be quick. Otherwise, you won't have the chance. All right. I'm almost done here. I wanted to stay for 2 more days. If that's the case, I'll go back now. It'll take about 4 hours. Chen Hao said. In fact, Chen Hao could rush back very quickly. However, if he did that, Long Yi would definitely have some ideas. He had been urging him to come, but he never came. Now that he said there was something good, he immediately came back? That was too disrespectful. Therefore, it was necessary to delay for 4 hours. That's good. Be quick. We'll wait for you. Brother John Doe will be here in about 4 hours. Long Yi, I'm getting more and more curious. I've been your brother for so many years. Can't you tell me who he is? I really can't tell you. He emphasized that I can't tell anyone. What can I do? We've been brothers for so many years. Don't you know me? I have to keep my promise to others. Even if I tell you, you won't reveal anything about him. You can't tell anyone either. This is my principle. All right. Bullshit principle. You're so stubborn. Ting, tell me. I promise I won't tell anyone. Tianjun said gloomily. Brother Tian principle. My brother can't tell anyone. I can't tell anyone either. If you didn't appear last time, he wouldn't have. All right. Don't tell anyone. Anyway, I don't care. When he comes, I will definitely challenge him. If he can do it, that would be the best. If he can't, then he must. I want to see who it is that snatched my position as soon as he appeared. I was the one who asked you to go, but you all want to share it with him. I really don't know why you all treat him so well. You don't understand. This, ahem. Long Yi suddenly realized that he almost spilled the beans. He coughed awkwardly. He wanted to explain that he and his sister felt like they were old friends when they first met. However, if he said this, Tianjun might think that it was Chen Hao. This was because he had told Tianjun about the first time he met and fought with Chen Hao. He hurriedly changed the topic and said, for this kind of thing, no matter how high the probability is, it depends on one's luck. One more person won't make any difference. If it's yours, it's yours. If it's not yours, you won't be able to get it even if you go in alone. Tianjun stared at Long Yi for a few seconds before he said, so you're saying that I should tell another 100 people? Anyway, if it's yours, it's yours. There's no need for that. It's better if it's less. Long Yi could not pretend anymore. 4 hours later, Chen Hao saw Long Yi, Long Ting, and Tianjun waiting at the door. Brother John Doe. John Doe, you're finally here. Long Ting greeted him with a smile. I'm sorry. Something came up. I'm almost done. Chen Hao said. Come, let's talk inside. Long Yi pulled Chen Hao into the manor. Brother Long, what's the hurry? Tianjun is my good brother. I know. I've already met Brother Tian once. Chen Hao glanced at Tianjun, who had been staring at him from the side, and said with a smile. His master works in the mission center of the Asian Ing Star Alliance. He's a high-ranking official. Therefore, he receives some insider information. This is not a secret at our level. To put it simply, he can get some mission statistics that ordinary people can't get. There's an impossible level mission. According to the internal analysis, if you do it now, there's a high chance you'll get an opportunity. My sister and I both want to participate. With your strength, you'll have no problem completing the mission. Go and try your luck. Maybe you'll get an opportunity. Oh, Chen Hao was slightly taken aback. Although there were many things he did not know, Long Yi's words were undoubtedly very attractive to any cultivator. However, Chen Hao remembered that Long Yi said it was urgent and asked, "If we sign up now, when will we depart?" "We'll definitely depart tomorrow. Therefore, we have to sign up now. Otherwise, I wouldn't have urged you to come here." Brother Long, I'm afraid I can't go. To tell you the truth, I'm here to complete a mission. Moreover, we're just waiting for the number of people to gather before we depart. It'll probably take another half a month. Isn't that simple? Just cancel the mission. You can cancel it before you depart, Long Ting said. Let's go. We'll go together. After you cancel the mission, you can sign up again. Cough cough. I can't do that. I have to go on this mission. My cultivation partner has been trapped in there for a long time. I'm worried something might happen to her, Chen Hao said frankly. Long Yi did not know what to say. When Long Ting heard Chen Hao's words, she was also slightly taken aback. A strange expression flashed across her face. Then there's no other way. Unfortunately, we'll be together again in the future. My sister and I have to sign up first. Tianjun accompany Wu Ming. We'll talk when we're back. No problem. Tianjun looked directly at Chen Hao. His eyes were still filled with provocation. He did not even look at Long Yi and Long Ting before he replied. Brother Tian, if you dare to do anything before my brother and I return, I won't let you off. All right, I promise you'll challenge me again when you're back. If you want to watch, just say so. Tianjun finally smiled. Chen Hao was speechless. Let this fellow accompany him? However, he could not refuse. Do you drink? Whoosh. Tianjun raised 2 jars of wine and looked at Chen Hao as he asked. Chen Hao did not say anything. He picked up one of the jars and opened it. Your concealment Dharma treasure is not bad. It can't be hidden from my senses unless it's a saint artifact. Since you can activate a saint artifact, it means you're quite strong as well. I'm looking forward to it, Tianjun said. After he finished speaking, he opened the lid with a paw sound and tilted his head back to take a big gulp. Chen Hao smiled and drank a mouthful as well. The wine is not bad. Of course. You avoided the battle last time because you were afraid of getting into trouble? Or were you afraid you would lose face in front of Long Ting? Or did you really have something urgent to attend to? That's not important. You should be fine now. As for trouble, Long Yi and Long Ting's friends are my friends. Even if you're hiding and making me unhappy. If you were me, you'd feel the same way, Chen Hao said with a smile. Is that so? Do you want to fight me now? Otherwise, you'll lose face later. All right. On account of your wine. A sharp glint suddenly flashed in Chen Hao's eyes as he looked at Tianjun and said. Tianjun was slightly taken aback. His provocation was only to force Chen Hao to fight him. He did not expect Chen Hao to agree so readily when he saw how calm Chen Hao was. Good. That's straightforward. However, are you really afraid you'll lose face in front of them? Do you think that's possible? Since it's impossible, then, let's wait for Ting Ting to come back before we fight. I don't dare to provoke that girl when she goes crazy. You'll lose face if that happens. Chen Hao smiled lightly, and his face that had changed his appearance flickered with a wisp of innate arrogance. Interesting. I'm looking forward to it now. Don't worry, I won't fight you with my advantage in terms of cultivation base. Cheers. I hope so. Chen Hao raised his wine jar and clinked it with Tianjun's as he said nonchalantly. Chen Hao was patient with Tianjun because of Long Yi and Long Ting. Otherwise, given his personality, he would have given Tianjun what he wanted. He would not have waited until now. However, it was also because of this that Chen Hao found this person to be a good person. Buzz. Just as Chen Hao and Tianjun began to drink in silence and wait for Long Yi and Long Ting to come back, there was a sudden vibration in their minds. There's news. Chen Hao was slightly surprised. Ever since he stepped out of the Asianing planet and the existence of the second world, communication runes and other runes had basically been eliminated. Now that there was a vibration, there was no doubt that it was from the mission token issued by the Alliance's mission center. Chen Hao hurriedly took out the mission token and read the message. An impasse mission token? News of our departure? Tianjun, who was very experienced, stared at the token in Chen Hao's hand. He seemed to have thought of something and asked in surprise. Phew. That's right. We'll depart tomorrow. It seems that the battle with you will have to be postponed, Chen Hao said as he spread his hands. It could not be helped. Although Chen Hao was confident that he could fight Tianjun, and was not afraid of being injured, the sudden news of their departure disrupted his rhythm. This was because although he had collected enough mineral veins, he had not completed the refinement. He had to complete the refinement of the important items by tonight, before he could depart tomorrow. What's the name of the impasse mission you're doing? Is it to collect the fire essence from the blazing star? Tianjun asked directly, as if he had not heard Chen Hao's intention to postpone the battle. How did you know? Is this the mission you were talking about just now? Correct. Tianjun looked at Chen Hao strangely and said, It seems that your chances are higher. What do you mean? Chen Hao did not expect such a coincidence, but he was puzzled by Tianjun's words. Getting insider information and making your own choice are two different things. It's obvious that you can't have insider information that long in advance. So, you're already at an advantage at the start of the battle. Chapter 570. When Long Yi and Long Ting returned and learned that Chen Hao had accepted the mission to collect the fire crystal marrow from the blazing star, they were both surprised and delighted. Tianjun, on the other hand, left feeling envious, jealous, and depressed. He was already an expert at the Earth celestial stage, and this mission was restricted to experts at the human celestial stage. He could not accept this mission at all. That night, Long Yi, Long Ting, and Chen Hao were preparing for this mission. Chen Hao was refining magic weapons with all his strength. Long Ting went to the market to prepare a lot of food. Long Yi went to prepare a lot of communication talismans and other things. Even Long Yi, who was known as the Invincible Celestial, could not underestimate this mission. No one could be sure how long it would take for them to complete the mission, whether they would get the legendary opportunity, or whether there would be any unexpected changes in the mission. Therefore, it was necessary to prepare for a long battle. On the same day, in a room deep in a giant palace. Young master, just as we expected. Long Yi and Long Ting have signed up. Very good. By the way, young master, the mysterious young man who is close to Long Ting also returned to the Long family today. Did he sign up? No. Long Ting and Long Yi asked him to sign up. Otherwise, they would not have arrived so late. I don't know why the young man did not sign up. What a pity. If he went, he could kill two birds with one stone. A divine artifact concealing magic weapon is not bad. Yes. Young master, there's one more thing that you have to pay attention to. More than 10 young experts from other top forces have also signed up. It doesn't matter. They don't pose any threat at all. Are my men ready? They are all ready. A total of 20 men of sacrifice have been sealed by me to the peak of the mastery of the human celestial stage. Don't worry, young master. However, you have to be careful. Don't let the old master know about this. Otherwise, I'm afraid you and I will. If you and I don't say anything, who else will know about it? As for this news, it's just a casual sentence from my mother. There's no problem. Young master is right. I wish young master success and a triumphant return. Of course. Well, you can go now. Yes. After the old man finished speaking, his figure gradually disappeared from the room. This old man was the old man who was following Long Ting. As he watched the old man leave, a sharp light flashed across the young man's eyes. He mumbled to himself, Long Ting, as long as I have you, I'll be able to have you in the future. Unfortunately, that mysterious fellow didn't go. Tianjun, Long Yi, Long Ting, and the experts who signed up for the mission to collect the fire marrow crystals from Blazing Star because of inside information, did not know that the so-called inside information was nothing more than groundless rumors that their masters or seniors, who were in high positions, had heard from a certain powerful person. This situation was no different from the inside information in the past. Basically, it was a kind of benefit that the higher-ups like them tacitly agreed to. Who would be able to sense the abnormality? Who would have thought that something was amiss? As for Chen Hao, he was even more in the dark. He had absolutely no idea that he, who had appeared with a mysterious identity and was very close to Long Ting, who had been determined to possess a sacred artifact concealment Dharma treasure, and could even activate Dharma treasures, was the one who had caused the young man to lose his patience and set up this trap. The reason was simple. Both the old man and the young man believed that the mysterious Chen Hao might be a disciple of a powerful sect outside the Ying planet. Why would someone with such an identity and background appear next to Long Ting? Of course, more importantly, Long Ting went to pick up Chen Hao in person, and even took Chen Hao to the market. This made the young man, who was familiar with Long Ting's every move, feel a potential threat. The next day at 7 a.m., inside the mission center of the Alliance, there was a giant field with a radius of thousands of miles. It was a flat land that stretched as far as the eye could see. If it were on Earth, this area would be enough to defeat all the land planes. But here, it was just a field that was used to park the giant aircrafts that the Alliance used to carry out missions. Giant aircrafts of different colors were bathed in the morning sun, emitting a bright light. One of them was 50,000 feet long, 2,000 feet wide, and 1,500 feet high. It was completely golden, and looked like it was made of gold. There were 200 cultivators gathered in front of it. About 50% of the cultivators were at the peak of the later stage of the human celestial stage. More than 40% were at the medium stage of the human celestial stage. Only a few cultivators were at the initial stage of the human celestial stage. Of the people present, except for a few who showed their true faces, most of them were obviously disguised. There are so many experts. Chen Hao, Long Yi, and Long Ting had arrived early. Sensing the cultivators coming, Chen Hao was slightly surprised. Even he didn't expect this impossible level mission to gather so many experts. Of course, according to Long Yi's speculation yesterday, Chen Hao also knew that there should be more than a dozen young experts who had received inside information like Long Yi and Long Ting. The reason why Chen Hao was surprised was that the number of experts with extremely powerful auras was obviously more than 20 more than Long Yi had predicted. At this moment, although Chen Hao was wearing a black Taoist robe, he didn't wear a black bamboo hat. However, his handsome appearance had become ordinary. He was neither ugly nor handsome. He was the type that didn't attract attention. But at this moment, what made Chen Hao smile bitterly was that he was still too eye-catching. The reason was very simple. Long Ting, Long Yi. Long Ting, although at this moment she didn't look like her real face at all, her appearance was still very beautiful. Especially the milky white tights that showed off her graceful figure that hadn't changed much. Long Yi's appearance, body shape, and aura had all changed. But this guy was abnormal. Not only did he not hide his aura, but he released it unscrupulously. Just standing there, he gave people a huge pressure. Most importantly, before coming, Long Yi had said that in order to prevent others from guessing his and Long Ting's identities, he had asked Long Ting to pretend to be his Dao companion. The reason was very simple. No matter how Chen Hao's aura changed, the essence was definitely not something that Long Yi could change. On the other hand, if the siblings were together, it would be easy for people who had insider information and were very familiar with them to figure it out. So Chen Hao stood in the middle, and Long Ting was on the left, holding on to Chen Hao's arm. If Chen Hao accidentally moved, he could touch Long Ting's bouncy and charming breasts. That was not all. Long Ting smiled from time to time and looked up at Chen Hao with her beautiful face, as if she was transmitting something. How could this not attract attention? Brother Chen, the guy at the edge on the right should be Mo Xiaozong of the Sky Mist sect. He's not much weaker than me. In the second world arena, I can easily defeat him, but in reality, it's very difficult for me to defeat him. He has a supreme grade spirit treasure armor and a pseudo-saint treasure sword. If you meet him, try not to fight with him. The seventh one on his left, wearing a silver Dao robe, should be Zhu Peifeng of the Black Sword sect or Wei Wushuang of the Heavenly Star sect. I can't be sure. I can only tell by sensing the majestic energy in their bodies and the strength of their bodies. It's hard to tell their real bodies apart. Our left front. These are the things that I can basically tell. However, the experts this time are really out of my expectations. There are more than 20 people that I'm definitely not familiar with. You should be able to feel it. Brother Chen, I know that you are very strong, but there is still a big difference between the second world arena and the real world. Because in the real world, everyone has different equipment and weapons, so the difference is huge. You can't ignore this point. However, don't worry too much. Although there are signs of conflicts in the mission, under normal circumstances, there won't be any conflicts unless the enemy follows. At that time, the three of us will keep in touch. If there's any situation, we'll immediately inform each other. Long Yi transmitted his guest to Chen Hao and Long Ting respectively. He and Long Ting both knew that Chen Hao should have a saint treasure with concealing properties. Although they did not know how Chen Hao, who came from a barren planet like the Wuxia star, got a saint treasure, they could tell that Chen Hao should have other magic treasures with him. After all, Chen Hao was now the hope of the Wuxia star. How could they not give him some powerful magic treasures when he came out this time? Unfortunately, these two super rich people did not understand how barren a planet like the Wuxia star was at all. Even if Heavenly Venerable Yuanru opened the treasure vault of the Wuxia star for Chen Hao to choose, he could not find anything that could satisfy Chen Hao. Moreover, Heavenly Venerable Yuanru did not mention anything about giving Chen Hao a magic treasure at all. This was not that Heavenly Venerable Yuanru did not value Chen Hao, but he knew Chen Hao too well. Would the person who could transform the silver wing into such an awesome existence need him to provide magic treasures? Wouldn't that be a joke? Heavenly Venerable Yuanru almost asked Chen Hao to help the Wuxia star refine some magic treasures and confiscate them. This was something that would happen sooner or later. It was only a matter of time before he did not mention it now. Brother Long, you don't have to worry about me. You should worry about Ting Ting. Chen Hao heard Long Yi constantly reminding him about this and that, but he did not mention Long Ting at all. This made him feel very strange. Her? She should be worried about us. That's right. Chen Hao, don't underestimate me, Tianjinqiang, right? Earth Immortal, right? Do you think he's afraid of me just because he's giving in to me? My own strength isn't as strong as Big Brother and him, but when you want to bully me, you'll understand. Ha ha. The corners of Long Ting's mouth curled up into a wisp of a little devil's arc, and she sent a voice transmission rather complacently. Who could this kid be? While Chen Hao and the other two were communicating and sizing up others, the three of them were also the targets of others' attention. Especially one of the figures that even Long Yi did not notice. To be exact, it was a figure that was completely ignored by Long Yi, Chen Hao, and Long Ting because he was only at the initial stage of the human celestial stage. Chapter 571. This young man was only at the initial stage of the human celestial stage. Based on his analysis, he determined the identity of Long Yi and Long Ting. Although the two's auras were well concealed and changed to a great extent, coupled with the addition of Chen Hao, most people were unable to determine the origin of the three, but this young man was sure. The reason was simple, because he knew that Long Yi and Long Ting were coming. Among the 200 cultivators present, there were not many female cultivators. Just the unchangeable life aura alone was enough to rule out the others. As for Chen Hao, who was holding Long Ting's arm, in the young man's judgment, the biggest possibility should be Long Yi. But Chen Hao's internal aura was not comparable to Long Yi's at all. On the contrary, the young man beside Chen Hao, who was unscrupulously releasing his powerful aura, was more like Long Yi. Then who was Long Ting holding? The young man's slightly sickly pale face showed a thoughtful expression. Could it be that mysterious guy? Yes, it must be. Otherwise, based on my understanding of Long Ting, there's no one in Profound Heaven City who can make her so close, especially in front of her brother. This means that the mysterious fellow should have accepted this mission long ago. This is the only way to explain it clearly. The young man's eyebrows shone with the light of wisdom, and he came to the correct conclusion in a moment. It was not that this guy was very smart, but he knew too much about the overall situation. All of this was under his control. Including the masters who appeared now, 20 of them were his men of sacrifice. The identities of the other 10 or so powerful young men were also under his control. With so many conditions, he did not need to have a strong sense to be able to identify most of them. Phew. Very good. It seems that the heavens are helping me. Since you've come, then stay. However, This kid has a divine-grade concealment magic treasure. We must make sure that nothing goes wrong before we make a move. Otherwise, it won't be easy to find him if we act rashly and alert the enemy and let him take it away." The young man imperceptibly stared at the place where Long Ting was holding Chen Hao's arm. The depths of his eyes became colder and colder. He was even more certain that his crazy action in the Great Leap Forward this time was correct and wise. Otherwise, if he was any later, Long Ting might become this mysterious youth's Dao companion. Body and heart, time's up. Everyone, please use your mission tokens and wealth cards to board the aircraft one by one. Whoosh! At the end of the morning, a majestic voice sounded. 5 celestial stage experts with powerful auras turned into streamers and appeared above the aircraft. When the majestic voice of the old man in the middle sounded, the door of the aircraft opened with a swish. The 3 old men entered the control room directly while the other 2 old men were like ticket inspectors before boarding a plane on Earth. They took everyone's tokens and wealth cards in turn and checked them before they could enter the aircraft. This situation was to prevent the difference between the people who accepted the mission and the people who completed the mission. After all, the level of the mission was determined based on the cultivation realm of the mission itself. If this impossible level mission of the human celestial stage was given to a master of the celestial stage, it wouldn't even be the lowest simple level mission. After more than 10 minutes, everyone had boarded. Welcome to Vast Universe Galaxy Human Alliance's aircraft number 2389. I am the supervisor of aircraft number 2389, Yin Dongsheng. Our destination is the Blazing Flame Planet, and the flight time is about 1 month. After about 20 days, the signal of the second world will disappear. It is best that you inform your friends and family in your own forces in advance. The impossible level mission has an average death rate of 60%, a completion rate of 1%, and the probability of obtaining an opportunity is close to 1 in 10,000. Although the overall situation of your group is unexpectedly strong, you can't let your guard down. Your life is first, the mission is second, and the opportunity is up to fate. I also hope that there won't be any conflicts. Once there is clear evidence, I believe you know the consequences. Okay, let's start now. Boom. As soon as Yen Dongxing finished speaking, a loud noise sounded outside the aircraft. The huge body suddenly soared into the air, and its speed became faster and faster. After a moment, it tore through the void and entered the chaotic space. I'll go with you. Brother, you come too. After the aircraft entered the chaotic space, Long Ting, who was next to Chen Hao but at least 2,000 feet away, walked directly to Chen Hao and sent a voice transmission to the 3 of them. Haha, I don't need it. You are now pretending to be Taoist companions. Long Yi smiled ambiguously at Long Ting, and Chen Hao and sent a voice transmission. There's no need to do this, right? Chen Hao said. After all, each of them had their own position. Even when Chen Hao and the sisters were in the Silver Wing, they were not so close. However, as soon as Chen Hao finished speaking, he saw that many of the surrounding cultivators had gathered together in 2s and 3s. It was even more so for those who were obviously Taoist companions. This made Chen Hao very puzzled. Was there a need to do this? It was only 2,000 feet away, and it did not affect communication at all. Moreover, even if they were Taoist companions, did they have to be intimate in front of everyone? Or was it because this was an impossible level mission with a high death rate, and the upcoming danger and uncertain outcome made these friends or Taoist companions cherish the time before the mission began? Brother, if you don't come, it'll be just the 2 of us. I'll be embarrassed. Long Ting did not answer Chen Hao. Instead, she stared at Long Yi and sent a voice transmission. The 3 of them were connected through the voice transmission channel, so Chen Hao could also hear them. Carry on the disguise to the end. It's not appropriate for me to go. Which Taoist companions have a 3rd person involved? Go. Anyway, we can still contact each other in the second world, right? Long Yi said. What do you mean? Are you trying to separate us? Hearing Long Yi's words, Chen Hao suddenly understood and asked. Yes, otherwise why would I come here? I'm about to activate the shield. Sister Ting, I think we should split up. Come over. I don't have time to play with you. I need to be wholehearted. Chi 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 chi. Before Chen Hao could finish his sentence, streams of light suddenly rose around them. In an instant, Long Yi and the people around them disappeared. To be exact, they were completely isolated. You're too late, ha ha ha. Long Ting stared at Chen Hao and laughed proudly with her hands on her hips. What's there to be embarrassed about? On the other hand, looking at Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged, and Long Ting, who was looking down at Chen Hao with her hands on her hips, it was clearly a scene of a queen and a little bottom. Chen Hao stared at Long Ting and shook his head gloomily. Sit there obediently, don't disturb me. Long Ting stared fiercely at Chen Hao and said, I'm a great beauty, so many people want to get close to me but can't. I want to be with you of my own accord, and you dare to object? Sister Ting, don't tell me you're really interested in me? So what if it's real? So what if it's fake? You really can't fake, we have to be careful. Chen Hao said with some hesitation. Originally, he didn't care about this because he had a strange sense of familiarity with Long Yi and Long Ting. The first time they met, it was as if they were old friends. It was very intimate. But now, Long Ting's feelings for him were obviously too strong, and Long Yi, this guy, looked at him and Long Ting with an ambiguous gaze, as if he was trying to matchmake him and Long Ting. How could this be? One had to know. When Chen Hao saw Long Ting for the first time, he was so shocked that his jaw almost fell to the ground. If Long Ting, or the Long family, was related to the mysterious female corpse that gave birth to him but was not related to him by blood. Even if they were not related by blood, they should be considered close relatives, right? How could this be? When Chen Hao asked this question, although Long Ting's tone was joking, she was looking forward to Chen Hao's answer, but she didn't expect that the answer would be like this. What did he mean by really can't, fake, and be careful? This was simply a blow to her. Why couldn't she? Was she not worthy? Fake, be careful? Did no one want her, so she had to go over and be his Dao companion? Cough cough. Sister Ting, Neha, you should know that I have many Dao companions. Chen Hao saw Long Ting staring at him in a daze, and his expression became even more aggrieved, and hurriedly explained. It would have been better if he didn't explain, but once he did, Long Ting was even more confused. This made her, who was just joking, feel that her self-esteem was severely hurt, and so, even she couldn't control herself, and directly threw caution to the wind, saying, Since you have many Dao companions, what's one more? Chen Hao's balls hurt. Wasn't he asking for a beating? That's why he asked such a question. And now she was serious. How was he going to answer? Was he going to tell her that she was his long-lost sister? Wasn't that bullshit? The Long family had always only 2 children in each generation, and only one of them had the ability to reproduce. Originally, I didn't have the intention to be your Dao companion, but now, I want to be your Dao companion. You have to do it, or else, I will pester you. Or else, I will cook you raw rice. Pfft. Chen Hao almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Looking at Long Ting, who was glaring at him covetously, he really had a headache. What was worse was that from this angle of looking up, looking at Long Ting's graceful curves, and the meaning of this sentence that everyone understood. What's done cannot be undone. Chen Hao couldn't help but feel his heart sway. Sister Ting, let's talk about it later. Actually, when I first saw you, I felt that you were my sister, and this feeling was very, very obvious. If it wasn't for this feeling, I would be more than happy to have such a beautiful woman like you willing to be my Dao companion. Don't you have this feeling? Think about it carefully. Perhaps you don't want to be my Dao companion at all, and you just feel that I'm comparatively closer to you. Chen Hao racked his brains and considered his words carefully before he finally spoke these words. What made Chen Hao feel slightly relieved was that when Long Ting heard Chen Hao's words, she seemed to be really thoughtful, and after a few seconds, she finally snorted and said, What you said seems to make some sense. Yes, it's close. Chapter 572. Phew. It seems that my guess is right. We feel the same way. Our feelings are not the feelings between a man and a woman, but the feelings of kinship. You have no experience with the feelings between a man and a woman, so you think it's love at first sight, right? It seems like that. Then there's no problem. All right, I'm currently comprehending an absolute art. Let's do our own things. I'll start first. Chen Hao finally heaved a sigh of relief as he spoke. After saying that, he closed his eyes and meditated like an old monk. Long Ting looked at Chen Hao and wanted to say something, but in the end, she held back. She snorted and sat cross-legged beside Chen Hao. She stared at Chen Hao for a few minutes, and her expression changed several times. Finally, this girl confirmed that what Chen Hao said was basically correct. Or rather, before today, it was all correct. However, because of the situation just now, Long Ting felt that something was wrong now. What unique skill is he comprehending? Why is his aura fluctuating so violently? Not long after, Long Ting sensed Chen Hao's aura fluctuating, and she was very puzzled. In the aircraft, the law of heaven was isolated, and comprehending a unique skill basically depended on the state of mind and the understanding of the soul. However, the vast and majestic energy in Chen Hao's body was disappearing rapidly. This was very abnormal. However, when Chen Hao's true essence slowly recovered, Long Ting understood what was going on. Chen Hao did not refine the immortal core crystal to replenish his energy, and there was no way to draw energy from heaven and earth here. This meant that Chen Hao's energy did not disappear, but was hidden by his so-called unique skill. Now, it was just being released again. Unfortunately, what Long Ting did not know was that her understanding was completely wrong. Chen Hao was just using the old god to refine the spirit spring to replenish his energy. Although it was a little wasteful, Chen Hao did not care. The spirit spring could be sold for a sky-high price, but as long as there was a little surplus, it could be continuously strengthened. Second world, Yang City, in a huge palace. When we arrive at the Blazing Flame planet, the 20 of you, number 1 to number 10, will be responsible for killing that mysterious kid. Is that okay? I promise to complete the mission. Very good. From the 11th to the 15th, you are in charge of killing Long Yi. Is there a problem? I promise to complete the mission. From the 16th to the 20th, you will be in charge of Long Ting. I've already told you what to do. Don't give yourself away when the time comes. The 3 missions had to be maintained at all times, and they had to be carried out at the same time. If we don't do it at the same time, we'll alert the enemy. Yes. Phew. After 10 days, Chen Hao let out a long sigh of relief and finally woke up from the tempering state. A simple aircraft is finally complete. Although it's just a miniature aircraft, it's 5 times faster than my flying speed. It can also fly for a long time in the chaotic space. This speed is not as simple as 5 times faster. The life detector should be able to cover a range of 500,000 kilometers. As long as there are life waves, they won't be able to escape my surveillance. It has greatly shortened my time. If I can still sense the aura of the Phoenix's inheritance, it should be even faster. Xiaolian, I hope you're just trapped or you haven't collected enough blazing flame essence. Otherwise, Chen Hao thought to himself. Thinking about the situation that Tantai Lian might be in, he could not calm down. The only thing he could be sure of was that Tantai Lian was not dead before he came here. As for the rest, it was not something he could know. The best result was that Tantai Lian had not collected enough blazing flame essence. In other words, she could not leave until she completed the mission. The second possibility was that she was trapped in some kind of dangerous place. If it was man-made, Chen Hao did not dare to imagine. The only thing he could do was to kill without mercy, no matter who it was. It can't be? When Chen Hao slowly opened his eyes and saw the scene in front of him, he was speechless. Whoosh! The sound of water splashing could be heard from the ceiling boundary surrounded by clouds and mist. Needless to say, Chen Hao knew what Long Ting was doing. This girl is really out of this world. Is she on vacation? Or is she going to do an impossible level mission? It was obvious that Long Ting was taking a bath. Outside the ceiling boundary she had condensed, there was a table and a comfortable chair. The table was piled with all kinds of snacks and drinks. Just looking at this scene made one feel like they were enjoying life. Especially at this moment, the window of the aircraft had already been opened. Under the transparent runes, one could see the vast, magnificent, and dazzling scenery of the chaotic space. Are you done? The ceiling boundary that Long Ting had condensed was obviously not soundproof. Similarly, it did not isolate the aura from probing. At this moment, after sensing Chun Hao's fluctuation, the girl asked directly from inside. "Little sister Ting, what are you doing?" "I'm taking a bath to temper my body. Is there a problem?" "This is my compulsory homework every day," Long Ting said naturally. However, what Chun Hao could not see was that this girl's lips were curled into a seductive arc. In fact, she could completely isolate her aura, but she did not do so. Was it really impossible? Was it fake? Pay attention to the temperature? Was it close to kinship? All of them scram. If it were not for these words, this young lady would not have any thoughts. However, after this matter, this young lady had to regain her dignity. No matter what, those words should be said by her, right? If it's the opposite, then this young lady will do the opposite. Whoosh! Inside the seal, Long Ting stood up naked from a sparkling, jade-like bath that could only accommodate one person. Her skin was as smooth as jade without a single blemish. Her perky breasts were round and full, and the two pink buds were even more alluring. Sparkling water droplets hung all over her body. With a light shake, she was completely dry. With a wave of her hand, she put on her loose pajamas. It was a complete vacuum. This young lady has never been in a relationship before, but it doesn't mean that this young lady doesn't understand. Don't men like women to dress seductively and sexily and wear less? Or, it's best if they don't wear anything? If I don't wear anything, I'll be a little embarrassed. If I wear less, what am I afraid of? Let's see how you react. Thinking of this, Long Ting waved her hand and opened the seal. Then she walked out barefooted. It had to be said that when a woman went crazy, it was absolutely inconceivable. Of course, to be more precise, it should be said that Long Ting had the potential to be a witch. If it were any other girl, who would dare to be so bold? However, she dared. Moreover, in front of Chun Hao, whom she had subconsciously fallen in love with, she did not have any restraint that a young lady should have. She only knew that what she needed to do now was to confuse Chun Hao. She did not hesitate to use herself as bait until Chun Hao could not help but say, "Ting Ting, be my Dao companion." Only then would she give up. Sister Ting, control the heat, control the heat. Although we are close as if we are family between men and women, we still have to avoid a little taboo. When Chun Hao saw Long Ting's clothes, his heart skipped a beat. Black lines appeared on his forehead as he hurriedly said. Long Ting naturally sat on the reclining chair. Leaning back, she stretched her body. Her full breasts almost popped out. Her neckline was white and half of her slender legs were exposed. This made Chun Hao dizzy. He wanted to move away, but he was unable to do so. It could not be helped. In this lifetime, this was the first time that Chun Hao had seen such a bold and unrestrained woman. More importantly, this woman was really beautiful. I'm already avoiding it a lot. Every time after bathing, I usually don't wear anything. Cough cough. I'd better cultivate. You continue to play with your... Chun Hao felt that his throat was uncontrollably secreting saliva. He knew that he could not continue. You're not allowed. Long Ting's figure suddenly swayed. With a speed that surprised Chun Hao, she appeared in front of him and pulled him. Play with me for a while. What do we have to play with? Fuck a single man and a single woman in this enclosed space. Play? Play with what? Other than a game of top and bottom, Chun Hao did not think that they could play with anything else, especially when Chun Hao felt that Long Ting seemed to have forgotten, or ignored the words that he had racked his brains for. Eat, and chat. Oh right, I still have wine here. Come sit on my reclining chair. It's very comfortable. Without waiting for Chun Hao to explain, Long Ting pulled Chun Hao and pressed him onto the reclining chair. This was definitely an accident. Even Long Ting did not realize that when she pressed Chun Hao into the reclining chair and bent over, Chun Hao's gaze happened to see two snow-white and alluring bunnies through the drooping neckline. No, definitely not. You can't. Definitely not. Boom. No matter how Chun Hao suppressed it in his mind, some kind of desire was still born uncontrollably. What made Chun Hao vomit blood was that under this kind of forceful suppression, his extremely awesome divine ability actually did not listen to him. Or rather, it listened to the desire hidden in the depths of his heart and directly activated. Ah. What's wrong with you? Nosebleed. Are you injured? My eyes are red. My heart is beating so fast. My breathing is so heavy. Long Ting bent over and leaned in front of Chen Hao. She looked at Chen Hao in shock and said sentence by sentence. So hot. Her slender jade-like hand touched Chen Hao's forehead. Not good. You're possessed by evil fire. Chen Hao, why aren't you saying anything? I'll help you. Whoosh. Fuck. A bone-chilling energy suddenly poured down from the top of Chen Hao's head like a waterfall from the 9 heavens. Instantly, Chen Hao, who seemed to have entered a state of madness, woke up. Not only was his lust not extinguished, even his body turned into a popsicle. At this moment, Chen Hao only had one thought, and that was, the Long Ting in front of him was a demoness. A demoness who did not hesitate to kill people. Chen Hao also finally understood why Long Yi was not worried about Long Ting. He also finally understood why the seemingly awesome Tianjun was so afraid of Long Ting. Chapter 573. Hiss. The extremely cold energy, with a mysterious aura, wandered through every cell in Chen Hao's body. Even Chen Hao's own energy was sealed. Even if Chen Hao didn't put up any defenses and didn't resist, the fact that Long Ting could casually release such pure and cold energy was definitely beyond Chen Hao's expectations. But what really shocked Chen Hao was, why was his state of mind so easily broken just now? This was simply inconceivable. Even Chen Hao himself didn't believe that his mental fortitude would be so weak. But this was the truth. When his powerful mystique activated on its own, and Long Ting was completely naked in front of him, Chen Hao almost lost the ability to think. Impulse, a kind of crazy impulse, forced him to immediately pounce on her, and do her on the spot. However, the remaining trace of stubbornness, which was the stubbornness that he and Long Ting might be related, made him use all his strength to stop himself. Otherwise, why would he have a nosebleed? Why would he be burning with desire? Perhaps before Long Ting released the extreme energy, Chen Hao had already gone crazy. As for what the consequences would be, it was easy to predict. Either a certain woman would be executed on the spot, or a certain man would be violently beaten up. In any case, it wouldn't be like now. Chen Hao didn't even have the thought of releasing his energy to resist. This feeling wasn't good, but Chen Hao wanted to calm down. Before he figured out why he was suddenly like a bull in heat, he didn't dare to let himself regain his freedom. Originally, there were some questions that he could ask the old god, but the old god avoided talking about the mysterious woman's body. Chen Hao couldn't do anything about it. Otherwise, as long as Chen Hao knew the situation of the mysterious woman's body, he would be able to make more accurate judgments. But now he could only do it himself. Chen Hao could not understand. Under normal circumstances, he clearly felt that Long Ting was the closest person to him. Why was it that just a little bit of infatuation would cause it to overflow and become uncontrollable? Could it be that this feeling of closeness was not due to genes? Unfortunately, Chen Hao didn't have a real biological sister. No matter how much of a genius he was, he couldn't test the feelings between biological siblings. If you don't activate your energy, you'll be frozen into a popsicle. Forget it, let me help you. Long Ting saw that Chen Hao didn't move at all. He was still stupidly cold to the point that the surrounding air was frozen. Since he didn't have any reaction, the girl attacked again. This time, Chen Hao clearly saw that a profound and complicated rune seemed to have appeared on Long Ting's palm. After that, a hot spring-like energy poured into his body. In an instant, his entire body felt indescribably comfortable. All of the extreme and extreme cold energy also rapidly disappeared until it was replaced by a wave of warmth. Phew. Chen Hao heaved a long sigh of relief and threw away the question that he couldn't figure out. Fortunately, at this moment, his state of mind had already completely calmed down. However, when he saw the complacency and a faint provocation in the depths of Long Ting's eyes, Chen Hao still felt a little embarrassed. It was very obvious that this girl knew exactly what the so-called demonic fire possession was all about. As expected. Chen Hao, the feeling between us is just very close. It's like the feeling between brother and sister. Why did you become demonic just now? Do you have any thoughts? Do you want to molest my cute sister? Let's not talk about this. I'd better accompany you to eat. And that's good too. Here, this is for you. Long Ting reached out and took out a spirit fruit and passed it to Chen Hao. Chen Hao, who was a little guilty, didn't even look at it and put it into his mouth. The taste seemed to be really good. Is it good? It's okay. Here, eat another one of these. And this is also very good. Try it. And this, I like it too. Alright, drink some more of this. It's very delicious. Long Ting continuously picked more than 20 types of spirit fruits for Chen Hao. Seeing that Chen Hao didn't reject any of them and stuffed them into his mouth without even looking at her, this girl's mouth revealed an extremely sinister smile. Finally, she passed a bottle of bright red drink to Chen Hao. Chen Hao also didn't hesitate to gulp it down. Chen Hao, how is it? The snacks I prepared, are they okay? And very good. The spiritual energy it contains is very pure. Alright, I'm going to continue cultivating, Chen Hao said. And then your cultivation. Long Ting was unexpectedly very easy to talk to this time. This made Chen Hao feel a little strange. However, this guy still didn't dare to look directly at Long Ting. It couldn't be helped. Long Ting was still wearing loose pajamas. Moreover, she was wearing nothing. If he wasn't careful, he would be able to see the exposed spring scenery. If this kind of situation could be handled calmly, then it would be fine. However, Chen Hao was worried that he would once again have that kind of situation where he couldn't control himself. Therefore, the current Chen Hao was simply a gentleman who didn't look sideways. He definitely wouldn't linger on Long Ting for a moment. It was also because of this that when he sat down cross-legged, he didn't notice that Long Ting was lazily sitting on her chair. The corner of her eyes was full of craftiness like a little fairy's. I haven't tried this elixir recipe yet. If I eat it together like this, it should be effective, right? Even if it's not as effective as the elixir, it should at least have a little effect. After all, it's fused with a drop of my essence blood. It should be enough. Just now, you were just looking at me and I was having a nosebleed. If I took the initiative, wouldn't the raw rice be cooked directly? I must see you make a fool of yourself. Sensing that Chen Hao's aura had indeed entered into a state of cultivation, Long Ting hurriedly restrained her aura, and took out more spirit fruits and spirit herbs. If nothing goes wrong, it will act up in an hour. Even if I make a fool of myself, I still have to concoct the antidote first. I don't really want the raw rice to be cooked. Long Ting took her time to choose the spirit fruits and spirit herbs to concoct the antidote, and the complacency on her face became more and more obvious. Why am I still missing one? Long Ting jumped up and almost screamed out loud. She directly covered her mouth and looked at Chen Hao. What should I do? Long Ting panicked. She did have the missing spirit fruit, but when she was proudly watching Chen Hao eat them one by one, she also casually took a few spirit fruits and ate them. She didn't pay attention to what she ate at all. But coincidentally, the missing spirit fruit was eaten by her. What was more tragic was that she couldn't even vomit it out now. She grew up eating spirit herbs, spirit fruits, and soaking in 1,000 fruit water. Her speed of absorbing spirit herbs was absolutely beyond everyone's imagination. Chen Hao, quickly wake up. Hiss. Long Ting directly rushed to Chen Hao's side, grabbed Chen Hao's shoulder and shook it. You. Chen Hao, who was suddenly shocked, could only say the word you. Suddenly, he was unable to say anything else. His eyes were like two balls of burning flames, staring fixedly at Long Ting. At the same time, the aura on Long Ting's body was like the most primitive and craziest summoning. Boom, 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 boom. Desire, crazy desire. A desire that was thousands of times more violent than before, directly made Chen Hao lose all rationality and explode. Long Ting let out a startled cry, but halfway through, her delicate lips, which no one had ever tasted before, were sealed by a strong masculine aura. At the same time, a pair of strong arms, like steel bars and iron hoops, hugged her, as if wanting to squeeze her into the other's body. How can this be? How can it be so fast? Although the panicked Long Ting's heart was fluttering due to this sudden attack, and was even a little confused, but basic rationality still existed. According to her estimation, it would take at least an hour before the spirit medicine feast that she had carefully prepared would be absorbed by Chen Hao. It was also at that time that Chen Hao would have a reaction. But it had only been a few minutes. How could it act up? No, it shouldn't be the effect of the medicine acting up. It should be that he originally had thoughts about me, wasn't it just now? Thinking of this, Long Ting's body suddenly emitted an extremely powerful energy wave. A mysterious, ancient, and magnificent aura was emitted from between her eyebrows, forcibly separating the crazy Chen Hao from her body. Boom! The moment they separated, Chen Hao's body also surged with violent energy. In an instant, his Taoist robe, which was completely filled with desire, and without the slightest protection, exploded into fine powder. So a certain person became a gentleman with no balls, and once again pounced on the prey in his eyes. Long Ting couldn't see in the depths of his eyes that seemed to be completely lost and completely crazy, but there was a trace of intelligence flickering in them. This meant that Chen Hao hadn't completely gone crazy, and still had a trace of rationality, but he could no longer control or suppress his desires. Spit it out, quickly spit it out. Spit out everything that you just ate. Long Ting shouted in panic, and waved her hand to send out a wave of energy to block the crazy Chen Hao once again. If Chen Hao was completely awake at this moment, he would definitely be shocked by Long Ting's terrifying strength. It must be known that his current madness was definitely his peak state. Although it wasn't an attack, any peak-level immortal expert would probably be unable to block it, but Long Ting just casually sent out a wave of energy to restrain Chen Hao. Slap. At the same time, Long Ting's slender, jade-like palm suddenly slapped Chen Hao's back. Long Ting knew that she had to do it herself. It was impossible to make the crazy Chen Hao spit it out himself. Pooh. Under the influence of her mysterious palm, Chen Hao did indeed spit it out, but what he spat out was only blood. At the same time, the energy that Long Ting had sent into Chen Hao's body also discovered in shock that the spirit fruit that Chen Hao had eaten was nowhere to be seen. Long Ting seemed to have lost all her strength in an instant. When she saw Chen Hao once again break free from her restraints and pounce on her, Long Ting sank into an intense conflict and struggle. What should I do? What should I do? Chapter 574. Spinning a cocoon around oneself, playing with fire and burning oneself. This was the true portrayal of Long Ting's current situation. More than 20 types of spiritual fruits, supplemented with her blood essence, was one of the recipes she knew. This was also a secret recipe unique to her Long family. Only the blood essence of a female Long family member could be used to successfully refine this pill. The records were very clear as to how strong the effect of this pill was. Once a male was poisoned, other than having the yin and yang of the person whose blood essence was used to refine the pill, the only antidote that could be used to refine the pill was the same person's blood essence. Only then could he be saved. But now there was one less type of spiritual fruit to make the antidote. Qi. Chen Hao, who rushed over, tore open Long Ting's nightgown. Long Ting, who was naked, was immediately pressed down by Chen Hao's body. No. Don't. Long Ting's body was hot and soft. If she did not know the secret of the Long family, and knew that what was done could not be undone now, she was afraid that she would have really fallen. The close contact, the hot and firm attack, made her clench her thighs tightly together. No, Chen Hao. We can't. Wake up. Long Ting gathered the last of her strength, and once again activated the majestic and pure energy that contained an ancient and mysterious aura in her body. She suddenly pushed Chen Hao away and imprisoned him. Whoosh! The ice-cold energy that filled the sky fell from the sky and poured on Chen Hao and herself. Calm down. She had to calm down. Yes, let him eat. Let him eat. Hiss. Under the pouring of the ice-cold energy, Long Ting regained a bit of her rationality. She did not care about anything else and stuffed all the spiritual herbs on the table into Chen Hao's mouth. Quick. Use all your strength to seal me. Suddenly, Chen Hao, whose eyes were already red, but who was also temporarily imprisoned by the ice-cold energy released by Long Ting, had regained a bit of his rationality. However, his mouth was still stuffed with spiritual fruits, and he said telepathically, "Hurry up and eat. Eat it, it might be useful. Also my blood essence." Long Ting forced out a stream of blood and spat it into Chen Hao's mouth. "Old God, refine the veins with all your might. Devour my energy with all your might. Begin." Rumble. In Chen Hao's mind, Chen Hao ordered the old god to push himself to the limit. What did you do to me?" At the same time, Chen Hao's scarlet eyes stared at Long Ting and asked, "Chen Hao, I didn't do it on purpose. Imprison me first. I don't know how long I can stay awake. I'm thinking of a way to burn my energy. Trapping me won't be a problem." Chen Hao commanded. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Cut the crap, hurry up. Use your strongest power." Good. Long Ting suddenly took a deep breath. Her entire aura suddenly soared crazily, and she slowly rose into the air. Her long hair fluttered, and energy wreaked havoc. Mysterious runes spread out from between her brows and her palms, and soon after, they condensed in front of her body. As her palms slowly drew a circle and drew closer to her chest, her aura became stronger and stronger. It was so strong that it made the current Chen Hao widen his eyes in shock. "Seal for me." Who? Ayo. It was as if a gust of wind was blowing. What was even more shocking was the sudden explosion of a dragon's roar that resounded through the heavens and earth. Chen Hao saw a golden light circling back and forth in the sky, and he vaguely saw the image of a huge golden dragon imprinted between his eyebrows. At this moment, Chen Hao felt that his body and energy were completely imprisoned. Long Ting, whose nightgown had been torn apart by Chen Hao, was completely naked. Now her whole body was covered with a dazzling golden armor, as if it was made up of golden dragon scales. A golden rune appeared between her eyebrows, as if she was a female heavenly general who had descended to the mortal world. Her aura was so terrifying that even earth immortals and heaven immortals would be shocked. However, plop. When the seal on Chen Hao's body was completely formed, Long Ting, who was still majestic just a moment ago, fell to the ground like a soft-footed shrimp. She gasped for air, and the rune between her eyebrows disappeared. The golden armor on her body faded away. Only her snow-white, towering breasts were violently moving up and down. "Hurry up and put on some clothes. Help me put on some clothes too." Chen Hao once again felt the crazily rising desire, and he gave his last order. After he finished speaking, the rationality in his eyes completely disappeared. It was as if he was struggling crazily, but his body couldn't move at all. He had just regained consciousness for a moment, and through the cooperation with the old god, he had used up more than half of his energy. At this moment, because he had lost his rationality, he could only rely on the old god to devour Chen Hao's energy. The speed at which he devoured Chen Hao's energy had slowed down a lot. However, Long Ting's seal was obviously very powerful. Not to mention that Chen Hao had used up more than half of his energy. Even if he was in his peak condition, he wouldn't be able to break free from Long Ting's seal. What did it mean to be burned by lust? This was called it. Chen Hao's face was already distorted. He bit his lips so hard that blood was coming out. Blue veins were popping out, and a certain part of his body was like a pillar that reached the sky. It was extremely terrifying, but he couldn't even move a muscle. This kind of pain and torment wasn't pain, but it was more painful than all the spiritual pain that Chen Hao had experienced. It was as if 10,000 worms were gnawing at his heart, as if his body was going to explode and die, as if salt was sprinkled on his wounds and worms were crawling. Woo woo woo. Long Ting looked at Chen Hao's pained appearance and finally cried out. She forcefully summoned her energy, and summoned a set of brightly colored soft armor. She put it on herself. At this moment, she no longer cared about her shyness. At the same time, she summoned a black Taoist robe and helped the completely naked Chen Hao put it on bit by bit. "It's all my fault. I'm sorry. You have to hold on. You have to hold on. Otherwise I won't let you die." As Long Ting spoke, she grabbed the spirit fruits and spirit herbs on the table and quickly stuffed them into her mouth. She didn't seem to be refining at all, nor did she look like she was cultivating, but her essence, energy, and spirit were actually recovering at an astonishing speed. "There's a way. There must be a way." Long Ting, who quickly recovered her energy to its peak state, looked at the struggling Chen Hao who had completely lost himself and was in extreme pain. With a thought, a golden light appeared between her eyebrows again, and an ancient jade slip appeared in her hand. This prescription was originally meant to be refined for my future Taoist companion. Mother also said that my Taoist companion would only be able to activate the Long family's secret dual cultivation jade slip after taking this pill refined with my essence and blood. Since we're already like this, there's no way out. I'm already his. If there's no other choice, then there's only that way. My first time. I must activate our Long family's dual cultivation technique. The last layer of this dual cultivation technique is mine. My first time. That means there must be a way to reduce the medicinal effect. Long Ting's mind became nimble. The spirit fruit he had given Chen Hao, as well as his own blood essence, was a secret recipe from the Long clan's medicine canon. Only when it was refined into a medicinal pill would it have the greatest power. Furthermore, it could only be given to a person who had confirmed their relationship as Tao companions. If she gave Chen Hao the pill, it would at most have 1% of the medicinal effect. It was precisely because of this that she dared to play with this. But who would have thought that Chen Hao would directly lose his mind? What was more fatal was that when she concocted the antidote with the same spirit fruit, there was one missing. Qi. Long Ting knew that she could not delay any longer. She suddenly activated her divine consciousness and merged it with the jade slip. In an instant, the profound dual cultivation technique in the jade slip formed an image in her mind. It was a method of inheritance that was combined into one. Moreover, the man and woman in the image actually looked like Long Ting and Chen Hao. Long Ting was not surprised by this because the Long family's inheritance jade slips were merged with the inheritor's mind. In other words, whoever appeared in Long Ting's mind was who? Very quickly, just learning and comprehending caused Long Ting's face to turn red, and she could not help but pant. However, when she obtained the information and saw the first step, she was extremely nervous and worried about Chen Hao. Completely relaxed. Luckily, I didn't lose my mind just now. Is this considered a lucky hit? After Long Ting completely imprinted the entire set of secret techniques in her mind, and confirmed that she had truly mastered it, she opened her eyes with a red face and thought to herself as she looked at Chen Hao, who was struggling in pain. However, she was no longer worried. I definitely can't tell him the truth about this. He benefited from this misfortune, but I lost out. If I had read this secret manual earlier, I wouldn't have been seen by him. If I told him, I would have lost. He ate my medicine, and there's no way he can escape. But why is his reaction so intense? It's obviously not refined into a pill, and the medicinal effect is only a little bit. Could it be that he has very strong thoughts about me? It must be so. Otherwise, he wouldn't have turned into a demon before eating the spirit fruit. Let's see how long he can last. If he really can't, I can only help him reduce his pain. It's so embarrassing. Long Ting sat cross-legged beside Chen Hao, and her mind firmly locked onto Chen Hao's life aura. After a slight hesitation, she endured the bashfulness of her beating heart, and directly took off the Taoist robe that she had put on with much difficulty, for Chen Hao to prevent it from being stained. However, after waiting for a full hour, although Chen Hao appeared to be in more and more pain, his life aura was still abnormally stable, and there were no impurities escaping from his body. This made Long Ting very surprised. Could it be that his body is so strong that there are no impurities? This shouldn't be. Or, is it because I only gave him the spirit fruit, and the medicinal effect was too weak? Long Ting did not understand. It was certain that the effects of the medicine were weak, but Chen Hao had clearly lost his basic rationality. It was obvious that he had reached his best condition. Furthermore, although Long Ting could not personally experience this kind of pain, she knew that Chen Hao was enduring extreme pain from the records in the secret manual. This kind of burning with desire was an excellent training for the physical body, the soul, and the state of mind. Especially under the effects of her spiritual medicine, it was not something that could be compared to an ordinary burning with desire. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Chapter 575. Time passed day by day. If he could last for 3 days, he would go from burning body with desire to burning spirit with desire. His body does not have any impurities, so he should have started from burning spirit with desire, right? It's already been 3 days. At that moment, Chunhao's entire body had turned completely red. His veins were bulging, and his skin was clearly protruding. The thing between his legs that Long Ting did not dare to look at directly became even more terrifying under the ravaging of the endless flames of lust. However, what puzzled Long Ting was that Chunhao's life aura did not show any sign of weakening even after 4 days had passed. It did not make sense at all. At the very least, it was greatly different from what was recorded in the secret manual. Could it be that there was an accident somewhere? Could it be that Chunhao's fleshly body, soul, and mental state were all so powerful that the medicinal effect of her spirit fruit, which was not a medicinal pill, could not satisfy his requirements? It seemed that this was the only explanation that made sense. Roar, roar, roar. Chunhao's roars that were filled with boundless wildness became more and more hurried and deep. This kind of strong masculine aura made Long Ting, a virgin who was waiting by the side, feel uneasy and tormented. Especially when the images in the grimoire appeared in her mind. It made her body throb strangely and uncontrollably. This kind of pure and primitive summoning made a certain secret place ripple with a trickle of water, itching unbearably. How can he be so strong? It's so embarrassing. Long Ting pressed her legs together, exerting more and more strength. Occasionally, she would gently twist her legs, causing her soul to sway. This kind of feeling, she should let him know what was wrong with her. She even suspected that it was Chunhao who ate the medicine, or she who ate Chunhao's medicine. 5 days later. Week. When Chunhao's hurried roars almost became continuous howls, suddenly, Chunhao stopped. Even though he was still gnashing his teeth and bleeding, and his eyes were as red as lanterns, he no longer struggled with all his might. At the beginning of the 5th day, if his life force has not weakened to a dangerous level, then it is basically a success. This is in line with the records in the grimoire. Luckily, oh no, he is about to regain his consciousness. Thinking of this, Long Ting hurriedly picked up the Taoist robe to help Chunhao put it on. Otherwise, when Chunhao woke up, it would definitely be very awkward. Previously, Chunhao had faced her naked when he was in a state of madness. If his mind was clear, even if he was wearing armor, Chunhao would still be embarrassed. Long Ting tried her best not to activate her energy as she helped Chunhao put on his Taoist robe. Unlike last time, she didn't have to worry about Chunhao's comfort this time. She had calmed down, and was only a little restless. However, when she inevitably reached a certain place, her heart rippled violently and her breathing quickened. She also had a strong desire to touch, to feel. Firstly, it was because she was stimulated, and secondly, it was because of her strong curiosity. As if at the behest of gods and gods, she allowed her jade-like hand to gently and slowly touch that fiery body that was like a stick of fire. She could even feel the strong beating of his pulse. Ah! The moment she held it, Long Ting's throat couldn't help but let out a cry of surprise. This cry of surprise was like her own moan in the grimoire. It made Long Ting extremely embarrassed. She no longer dared to carefully sense it, and helped Chunhao put on his Taoist robe in one breath. Phew. Finally. Is it finally over? After an entire 6 days, Chunhao's scarlet eyes finally became clear. The desire that continued to erupt in his body like a mountain flood also dissipated bit by bit. The endless pain and suffering was replaced by an endless refreshing feeling. Whether it was truly comfortable, Chunhao didn't know, but at this moment, he felt as if he had survived a disaster. Whether it was his body, soul, or state of mind, they had all been bathed and baptized by the holy light. Clear, peaceful calm. However, it was accompanied by a faint pain in the balls between his legs. Long Ting. Chunhao roared angrily. Oh, brother, how you? What's the matter? Long Ting knew that she was in the wrong, so she had already hidden far away. She held a large number of spirit fruits in her hand, and even had a mouthful of them in her mouth. She had the appearance of a heartless and obedient girl. She even called out Brother Hao and replied, "What's the matter? You still ask me what's the matter? Help me undo the seal first. This. Brother Hao. Good brother. That seal isn't my strength. After using it once, it will take at least 2 months before I can use it again. Then what should we do? Chen Hao said angrily. Fuck. At this moment, Chen Hao, who had recovered his reason, knew how terrifying the strength Long Ting used to seal him was. Human celestial? Chen Hao was sure that even an expert at the peak of the late stage of the Earth's celestial stage would absolutely be unable to use such a powerful strength. Now that he recalled the scene, Chen Hao felt that if Long Ting used that kind of strength to attack, even an expert at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage would only be killed in an instant. At most in a few days it will be undone by itself. Don't you feel that the seal's strength is slowly dissipating? Don't worry, my good brother. The words good brother made Chen Hao's bones go limp. However, when he thought of the endless pain he had suffered, Chen Hao was unable to restrain his anger. Do you think you can get rid of me with just a few good words? Tell me, what the hell did you do to me? This is nothing. The spirit fruits that I gave you accidentally formed a kind of aphrodisiac pill formula. The effect of the pill is less than 1% of the pill's effect. I didn't expect it to have such a great effect on you. Fortunately, Brother Hao, your body, soul, and willpower are strong enough to withstand it. Chen Hao almost cursed it out loud. He said, what if I can't withstand it? If you can't withstand it, I can only cook rice with you. Nonsense. Do you think this kind of thing can be forced? You're the one who got me. Cough cough. Don't do this again. Where did you learn this from? It's one of the formulas in my family's pharmacopoeia. I only know the formula, but I didn't expect it to be so powerful. Brother Hao, my good brother, do you feel good now? It's the comfortable feeling after being baptized by God's punishment. Comfortable my ass. Chen Hao said unhappily. It was comfortable, but his balls hurt. Fuck, no matter who it was, their balls would be broken after a few days. What's going on? Sister suddenly disappeared, and Brother Chen can't contact her. It's been 6 days. In the second world, Long Yi was originally with Long Ting. However, 6 days ago, which was 2 months ago, Long Ting suddenly left the second world. At that time, Long Yi was very confused. Why did she leave without saying anything? After waiting for a long time, his sister still didn't come up. Although Long Yi knew that nothing could happen in the aircraft, he was still worried. He could only contact Chen Hao, who was in the independent space with his sister. However, no matter how many messages he sent, there was no reply. This made Long Yi think of all kinds of possibilities. The biggest possibility was that something happened between his sister and Chen Hao, so both of them left the second world. But what could happen between them? Could it be that they had a big fight in the aircraft? That was impossible. Although the seal of the independent space was so strong that even sky immortals couldn't break it, space was limited after all. As for the other kind of big fight, Long Yi didn't even think about it. It wasn't like his sister didn't know about the special nature of the Long family. There was no reason for that kind of thing to happen without the consent of the family head and parents. As for Chen Hao forcing her, that was even more impossible. He was very clear about his sister's strength. It was because he couldn't understand and couldn't figure it out that during this period of time, Long Yi was restless. Every day felt like a year. If he knew this would happen, he would have followed his sister. Brother, I'm coming. Sister, what did you do? Why did you suddenly leave and not go up for so long? Don't you know that brother will be worried? Brother, what are you worried about? Can there be any danger in the aircraft? It's Chen Hao who wants to compete with me to see who can comprehend something from the chaotic space. He called me in a hurry and I forgot to tell you. You little girl. I thought something happened to the two of you. No, nothing happened. The speaker didn't mean it, but the listener took it seriously. Long Yi was just saying it casually, but in Long Ting's ears, the words "what happened to the two of you" seemed to be implying something. The girl was so scared that she hurriedly said. Her face was slightly red. How is it? Are you happy with him? Did you comprehend anything? Long Yi asked when he saw Long Ting's expression. What's there to be happy about? I didn't comprehend anything. How many times have we comprehended the chaotic space? I was just teasing him. I won't be stupid enough to comprehend it. Eating and looking at the scenery, it's not bad. You don't mean what you say. Don't be stubborn. Do you think you can hide this expression from me? I support you. However, you can't be too hasty in this matter, and you can't take the initiative to show it. After all, you're a girl, and you have to be more reserved. Only then will men like you. Moreover, because of our long family, we have to consider many things. Based on my understanding of Brother Chin, he definitely won't marry into our family, and he won't abandon his current cultivation partner. Our parents and family will definitely not agree to this, at least for now. So if you really have the heart, you have to help him. I'll help him with your brother. With his talent and potential, I believe that he can grow to a terrifying height, a height that even I can't reach. When that time comes, the family will consider the problem from a different perspective. Brother, don't you hate people who get close to me? Why are you pushing sister out now? Haha. That was then, and this is now. The people I hate are naturally people who I don't think are worthy of you. I only have you as my precious sister. How can I let that kind of trash become your cultivation partner? If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 576. But he's just a little more talented. Isn't his background just as bad? Do you really think I care about his background? Equal social status? Or do you care? I don't care. That's it. Moreover, no matter what his background is, his talent has covered all his flaws. The only shortcoming is that he has a lot of cultivation partners. Sister, you have to be more careful. Men like women who are obedient, gentle, and considerate. I won't ask you to change, but at least treat him a little better. That way, you'll be more competitive. Brother Chen is really good. I hit it off with him at first sight, and you also fell in love with him at first sight. How is that possible? I just hit it off with him at first sight. Long Ting retorted with a slightly red face, but her heart was sweating profusely. Obedient, gentle, and considerate? It didn't seem to have anything to do with her. Look, a certain someone was still like a dead pig, unable to move after being tortured by him. She even suffered a life worse than death for a full 6 days. From the looks of it, if she could move now, she would probably start a war with him. There's no such thing as hitting it off with a woman at first sight. Has Brother Chen come up? No, he's still meditating. Brother, I'm going to the cultivation room to meditate. Go on, go on. Long Yi said with a smile, his heart finally calming down. Which, looks like I have to spend less time alone with her in the future. Fortunately, I didn't make a big mistake this time. The signal from the second world will disappear in 14 days. I'd better enter the second world and focus on cultivation. Hiss. Chun Hao's figure appeared in the second world directly, turning into the extremely ugly Chen Ritian. Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, and Xia Yuyu had been doing missions for some time, and hadn't logged into the second world for a long time. Occasionally, they would come up and only send messages to report that they were safe. Now, the sisters had just chosen a first-rate sect on the Yang planet under the guidance of Heavenly Lord Yuanru. During this time, they were also busy with the newcomer missions and didn't log into the second world. It's been a long time since I went to the arena. Anyway, I can't change my identity in such a short time. I'll go to the arena to play, challenge more opponents, and meditate. There must be a lot of people cursing me during this time, right? Chun Hao thought of his identity as Chen Ritian, and how popular he was in the arena, and a smug smile appeared on his extremely ugly face. DDD 3000. Requesting to be the arena champion. Chen Ritian? What? Chen Ritian? That ugly boy is finally here? That's right, that's right. I've already spoken to the arena master. Hurry up and send a message to those guys who booked the notice. Motherfucker, how many times do we get asked every day? They're seriously doubting our professionalism. All right. I'll send a message now. Oh right, should we take the initiative to give this ugly boy a bonus? He hasn't applied for it, but the number of people watching each time is no less than a celebrity. If we take the initiative to give him a bonus, he might come more often in order to earn money. That way, Our arena will definitely earn more. That makes sense. That's a good idea. Let's do it. We'll give him the same bonus as ordinary celebrities. You don't have to inform him. When the time comes to settle the bill, just explain it to him. That way, he'll be even more surprised. Who knows, Mood 1 might come every day in the future. The two old men in charge of managing the arena were so excited when they heard that Chen Ritian had applied to be the arena's champion. They took the initiative to share the profits. This was a rare situation. DDD. Your application to be the champion of the arena has been approved. Arena 250 will be handed over very soon. Please get ready. Arena 250? Fuck. This number. Chen Hao shook his ugly head and walked directly to Arena 250. What an ugly guy. Ah. Could this be the famous Chen Ritian from a while ago? Chen Ritian. It's him. I've seen his image before. DDD. DDD. At the same time, at least 1,000 cultivators who had specially gone to the arena to spend celestial origin crystals to order a reminder service for Chen Ritian's appearance received the message from the arena. Hence, they hurriedly put down what they were doing and rushed to the arena. DDD. Brother Long, didn't I tell you last time that there's a guy called Chen Ritian? Why did he appear? After calming down, Long Yi, who was about to enter the cultivation room, suddenly received a communication request from Nie Xiaofeng. Nie Xiaofeng had mentioned Chen Ritian a long time ago. He said that Chen Ritian's fighting style was shockingly similar to Chen Hao's when he won 10,000 battles in a row. They both suppressed their strength to a certain extent. No matter who the opponent was, they would fight to their heart's content. More importantly, his fighting talent and skills were extremely powerful. They were not inferior to Chen Hao's. If it were not for the fact that their appearances and aura were worlds apart, and the arena's information proved that they were real, they would have been mistaken for Chen Hao. Yes. I just received the news. This guy has just arrived at the arena. I have a feeling that this guy is related to Chen Hao. His name is Chen Ritian. Interesting, isn't it? The combination of Ritian and Ritian is Hao? Haha, but this is just a joke. The arena's information can't be fake. Chen Hao's 10,000 victories won't disappear. However, there's a possibility that Chen Ritian and Chen Hao's unique skill are of the same origin. Brother Long, do you want to come and take a look? Alright. Long Yi frowned. Unlike Nie Xiaofeng, he had a clearer understanding of the arena. In fact, when Nie Xiaofeng mentioned Chen Ritian the last time, he had a feeling that Chen Ritian might really be Chen Hao. The reason was simple. Chen Hao had also triggered the hidden condition of the arena and completed 10,000 victories. How could there be no reward? What was the reward? Of course, he was not sure at that time. He could only make a final judgment when he saw Chen Ritian's fighting style with his own eyes. Unfortunately, when Nie Xiaofeng told him, Chen Ritian had already completed 1,000 victories. After that, he did not appear again. Now that Chen Ritian had suddenly appeared after disappearing for a long time, Long Yi wanted to take a look even more. Otherwise, was it really a coincidence that his sister and Chen Hao had just entered the second world, and Chen Hao had just replied to his call? Sister, come out for a while. Long Yi wanted to rush over immediately. However, when he was about to inform his sister, he suddenly thought of something and directly knocked on the door of his sister's cultivation room. Brother, what's the matter? I just fell asleep. After waiting for a few minutes, Long Ting opened the door of the cultivation room and said sleepily with her eyes closed. She was obviously unhappy that Long Yi had disturbed her sleep. However, Long Yi seemed to be used to it and said, Sister, do you want to come to the arena with me to play? No. What's so fun about the arena? I'm such a low-key person. I don't want to show my face. You're really not going? Then you might regret it. Long Yi smiled and said mysteriously. Regret? Why? Something good happened? I'm not sure, but it's very possible. After I see it, I can basically confirm that. Brother Chen might be fighting in the arena. Are you going or not? Is that so? Alright, I'll go and take a look. I haven't seen him fight yet. Long Ting's eyes were no longer closed, but she did not want to show too much emotion. So she pretended to be calm and said calmly, Let's go then. It's so hard to choose. I can't believe that after a few months, my reputation has increased. It's only been a minute, and there are more than 1,000 people challenging me? Their strength is not bad. TSK, these people have fought before and they still want to come? These people have applied many times. This time, the wager has been raised to 1,000. I'll choose this one. Beep beep beep. Ah. It's me. Haha. Chen Ritian chose me, haha. My hard work pays off. Don't be jealous, I've applied 136 times. Boom. A cultivator said to his friend beside him. As he spoke, his aura suddenly surged and he rushed towards the arena. Brother Chen, please take care of me. Well said, well said. Brother, please. The ugly Chen Ritian smiled. Even though he looked uglier than if he were crying, he still felt good about himself even though he did not look like an expert at all. He made a gesture to invite them to go ahead. Swoosh. Swoosh. It was also at this moment that the number of cultivators who were watching decreased by more than 1,000. Basically, everyone who knew ugly brother Chen Ritian chose to enter the arena to experience it for themselves. However, it was different this time. The wager had been raised to 5 celestial core crystals. This was the wager that only famous people could afford to watch the battle. However, when the crowd received the notification, they did not even frown and entered the arena. Famous people? Famous people were nothing. Only the experts who were suitable for themselves would benefit them the most. Without a doubt, the thousands of people who were waiting to fight with Chen Ritian all thought that their strength was on par with Chen Ritian's. More importantly, famous people would not go from shallow to deep. They were like sparring partners who would allow their opponents to unleash their full potential. Every battle would take more than 10 minutes or even longer. How could they not know which one was more worthwhile to watch? Just as Chun Hao started his first battle, about 5 minutes later, 2 figures appeared at the back of the crowd. Wherever they passed, many people exclaimed. These 2 people were Long Yi, the top fighter of the human celestial stage in the arena, and Long Ting, who was not famous in the arena. This commotion was like a whirlwind. Other than the cultivators who were fully immersed in watching the battle, everyone could not help but look at the source of the commotion. Chapter 577. Long Yi. Are you kidding me? Brother Cho has attracted Long Yi's attention? Who's the beauty next to Long Yi? She's so pretty. She must be Long Yi's cultivation partner, right? Are you an idiot? Since when have you heard of Long Yi having a cultivation partner? That's Long Yi's sister, Long Ting. Long Ting. Phew. I don't think she's ever been to the arena. Why is she here today? Brother Long. Miss Long. Nye Xiaofeng and Yin Zhongjian widened their eyes in shock when they saw the Long siblings. Of course, they were shocked to see Long Ting, the legendary #1 beauty of Xiantian City, the most terrifying witch, had come to the arena. This was unbelievable. More importantly, they did not dare to look Long Ting in the eyes when they saw her. They were stuttering when they greeted her. It was as if they were excited, but more like they were afraid. Who in Xiantian City did not know Long Ting? Even though Long Ting had never participated in the test of the Second World Alliance, and had never earned any fame in the arena, her reputation in Xiantian City was no less than her brother Long Yi's. Was the challenge maniac Tianjin awesome? He could only suck up to Long Ting with his tail between his legs. Was the genius disciple from the So-and-so family awesome? Pursuing Long Ting, yet being beaten into a pig head that even his own mother couldn't recognize. There were many such violent incidents, to the extent that there was a common rule among the young genius disciples of Profound Heaven City, and that was to offend anyone but Long Ting of the Long family. Otherwise, one could just wait to become one of the members of the violent incidents that people took delight in talking about. It could be said that Long Ting was the goddess in many young men's hearts, but she was also the devil in their hearts. He's the ugly one in the arena. Our cultivation level is not high enough, or else we would have challenged him. However, there are too many people who have challenged him. Some of them have challenged him 100 to 200 times, and still haven't gotten their turn. He's very popular. Is that so? Indeed. Long Yi stared at the battle in the arena. He did not doubt Nye Xiaofeng and Yin Zhongjian's judgment. Big brother, Where is Chun Hao? Long Ting spread out her perception, but couldn't sense Chun Hao's aura at all. She couldn't help but ask through voice transmission. Let's watch the competition first. Long Yi said deliberately. What's so interesting about the competition? That person is so ugly. It's not his fault that he's so ugly, but it's not right for him to come out and scare people. Brother, do you want me to vomit? Fortunately, I haven't eaten anything yet. She only glanced at the ring and shuddered, speaking her thoughts without mercy. Long Yi didn't know what to say. After a few seconds of silence, he said, That little sister, I'm going in to watch the battle. You should come with me. You can take a closer look at that ugly guy. I heard he's very strong. Oh right, his name is Chun Hao. Isn't that Chun Hao? Brother, you lied to me? His Long Yi directly transformed into a ray of light. At the same time, his voice drifted into Long Ting's ears. What if I tell you that this ugly bastard might be Chun Hao? He triggered the hidden conditions of the arena. Since you're with him, why don't you test him? Ah. Long Ting was dumbfounded. Could this ugly freak be Chun Hao? This is a joke, right? Although Long Ting didn't want to admit it, she had to admit that Chun Hao was the most disgusting person she had ever seen. How could he be related to this ugly freak? However, based on Long Ting's understanding of her brother, he had never lied to her. There was no courage to lie to her, right? Miss Long, we're going to watch the battle too. Qi. Nie Xiaofeng and Yin Zhongjian stood together with Long Ting. Although it was the second world, they still felt the pressure. Seeing that Long Yi had entered the spectator mode, the two of them didn't dare to stay any longer. If they accidentally said something wrong, wouldn't it be terrible? Therefore, they directly ran away. In the aircraft, Long Ting couldn't help but look back at Chun Hao, who was lying motionless. At this moment, his aura had indeed entered the realm of thoughtless tranquility. A faint light appeared above his head, undoubtedly immersed in the second world. Hey, Brother Hao, good brother, what are you doing? Do you want to eat something? Long Ting, who was wearing bright and beautiful soft armor, looked valiant and sexy. With light steps, she walked to the side of Chun Hao, who was lying motionless on the ground. She laid on the side of Chun Hao's head and supported her chin with one hand. Her beautiful face had a kind and ingratiating smile as she spoke. I'm busy. Don't disturb me, Chun Hao said in a bad mood. He didn't even look at Long Ting. Just by feeling, he knew that this girl was right next to his ear. Her breath was like orchids, making his ear itchy. Fuck, seducing, drugging, and now she wants to trick me? When the seal is broken, I must teach this girl a good lesson. With a few words of Brother Hao and good brother, she wants to forget the grudge with a smile? Dream on. Brother Hao, are you still angry with me? What are you busy with? Are you fighting in the arena? Chun Hao obviously didn't have the desire to answer Long Ting. He directly ignored her. Long Ting seemed to be silly, but there was a hint of slyness in her smile. She said, I saw you in the arena. Do you think I'm an idiot? Hearing Long Ting's words, Chun Hao thought to himself, see me? That's a dream. I'm indeed in the arena, but it's not something you can see. I'm lying to you. However, I'm playing in the arena. Do you want to come? I know you're listening to me. Let me tell you, I saw an ugly freak. He's really in the arena? Chun Hao thought to himself, but he still didn't answer. Without a doubt, the ugly freak who could make Long Ting directly tell him the news was definitely Chen Ritian. The most hateful thing is that this ugly freak is actually called Chen Ritian. Isn't this insulting, Brother Hao? It's not his fault that he's ugly, but it's his fault that he dares to call himself Chen Ritian. Brother Hao, I'll help you teach him a lesson and make him change his name, okay? Okay. Chun Hao finally couldn't hold it in any longer. He opened his eyes and glared at Long Ting. You must be taught a lesson for daring to call yourself Chen Ritian. You can't be redeemed for breaking my name. However, I'm in the middle of cultivation and can't watch. Help me. If you do well, I won't be angry with you anymore. Are you serious? Of course. Chun Hao said decisively. Come on. If you dare to come up, I'll trample on you. I don't even know who it is that trampled on you. Chun Hao, who who had been waiting for the seal to be broken to teach Long Ting a lesson, had coincidentally encountered this opportunity. How could he let it go? He didn't think that Long Ting would be able to guess that Chen Ritian was him. Of course, Chen Hao didn't think too deeply about this problem. He only wanted to vent his anger as soon as possible. Even though it was the second world, there was also one more thing that Chen Hao was very curious about. Just how strong was Long Ting? All right. I'll beat this ugly guy until he's crying for his dad and mom. He'll beg for death. Long Ting said. He didn't even want to leave. He just lay down beside Chen Hao and didn't move. Is it him or not? Just from the conversation just now, Long Ting was still not completely sure. But at least she trusted her brother a little. We'll find out soon enough. Long Ting thought to herself slyly. Immediately, she disappeared from the second world. She had no choice. She had entered the peak of the later stage of the human celestial stage. If her cultivation didn't match, she wouldn't be qualified to challenge. When she re-entered the second world, Long Ting's aura changed to the peak of the medium stage of the human celestial stage. However, she appeared at a fixed location in the second world, which was the manor that the Long family had bought. So after this girl appeared, she dashed to the arena again without stopping. A few minutes later, before the ugly guy Chen Ritian's first battle ended, Long Ting came to the arena again. Beep. Beep. Haha. Have you applied for a challenge? Very good. Chen Hao had been waiting. When he was in the aircraft just now, he sensed the change in Long Ting's aura when she entered the second world. Naturally, Chen Hao knew that Long Ting wanted to enter the second world. Now that he had received Long Ting's challenge message from the system, Chen Ritian, who was in the middle of the battle, smiled proudly. If it weren't for the professional ethics that Chen Ritian had established after 1,000 battles, he would have gone crazy and ended the battle early to teach this girl a lesson. If this ugly guy is you, he'll definitely accept my challenge. Don't think that I don't know that you want to teach me a lesson. If not, there's no reason for you to accept my challenge. My battle record is 0. There are so many people who want to challenge me. How can it be my turn? Ha ha ha. Long Ting laughed foolishly in the crowd. Many of the young cultivators who had been sneaking glances at them time and time again were dumbfounded. Especially when they saw that Long Ting's eyes were fixed on the ugly guy in the arena, they couldn't understand. Could it be that the #1 beauty in Xiantian City admired men like Brother Cho, who had no appearance but had inner qualities? Otherwise, why would she stare at the ugly guy and laugh foolishly? Brother Chen, take my strongest move. Chi. After a full 15 minutes of hearty battle, this challenger was intoxicated. His energy and spirit were stimulated to an unprecedented state. There was only one word to describe it. At this moment, he finally understood the restraints that had been trapped for a long time in the battle. His blood was boiling and his battle intent was high. He suddenly shouted and used his strongest move that he had just comprehended. Very good. Unfortunately, you'll still lose. Chi. Chen Hao shook his wrist and a sharp sword light appeared. It had the same mysterious aura as his opponent, but it was more perfect and ingenious. Boom. Rumble. In the terrifying explosion of energy, the challenger's eyes were filled with excitement, disbelief, and excitement. However, he did not have the fear, panic, and depression that he should have before his death. He turned into a beam of white light and disappeared from the arena. Chapter 578. Good. Awesome. Brother Cho is awesome. Brother Cho is awesome. Brother Cho, although you are extremely ugly, but I like you. Be my cultivation companion. Brother Cho, please choose me. I, Zhang-san, have applied 180 times. Brother Cho, I, Li Si, have applied for 249 times. I don't want to be 250. Below the arena, cheers praises the unrivaled ugly girl's awesome confession, as well as the battle cries of those who wanted to fight but couldn't, etc. This caused Long Ting's eyes to widen as she stared at the incomparably ugly fellow on the arena. She would lose her appetite if she looked at him a few more times. How could he be so popular? How could it be? How could it be? Although the battle just now was not bad, and there was something to be said about it. It also seemed very sloppy and ordinary, right? Was there a need to be so excited? Long Ting was very confused. She felt that the people around the arena were all unreasonable lunatics. Unfortunately, what Long Ting didn't know was that the ugly guy in the arena was strong and weak. In short, he could satisfy everyone's desire to fight and let you fight to your heart's content. This was not something that could be done with a high cultivation level. Otherwise, how could he be so popular? Similarly, Long Ting's horizons and knowledge were basically all at the level of geniuses. Therefore, she didn't feel that ugly person's performance was much. At most, it was just so-so. However, how many of the cultivators around her could compare to her unique conditions? Swish. At this moment, Long Yi, who had entered the arena to watch the fight, automatically bounced out of the arena and appeared beside Long Ting. He said, "Sister, it's very possible. It's very possible that..." "Ah. Sister, what are you?" Before he could finish his sentence, Long Yi suddenly felt that Long Ting's aura had changed to the medium stage of the human celestial stage. He suddenly realized something and asked with his eyes wide open, "Didi?" "Ah." Just as Long Yi asked in surprise, Long Ting also exclaimed, "Brother, it's him. Haha. He wants to teach me a lesson? Humph humph. I want to see who will teach who a lesson." Swish. Before Long Yi could react to what was going on, Long Ting suddenly turned into a stream of light and flew towards the stage. It can't be. Nie Xiaofeng and Yin Zhongjian, who had just arrived beside the two, widened their eyes in surprise and looked at the arena. "Brother Long, Miss Long Shishi. Don't ask me. I don't know if she ate the wrong medicine." Long Yi also looked at Chen Ritian in a daze, unable to say anything. He didn't understand how much meaning was contained in his sister's short sentence. In any case, there was a lot of information. One thing was that his younger sister was more certain than him that the ugly guy was Chen Hao. "But if you want to teach me a lesson, I'll teach you a lesson. It's not something you can understand." In short, he knew one thing, and that was when he saw his younger sister reveal a devilish smile. He also knew that every time this happened, he, as her older brother, had to back off. Long Ting's true strength was indeed inferior to his, but Long Yi knew that no matter if it was the real world or the second world, if Long Ting really wanted to fight him seriously, the one who would lose and be trampled on would definitely be him. This made Long Yi look at the ugly Chen Ritian, or rather, Chen Hao, who had been confirmed by his sister and basically confirmed by himself, with sympathy. Similarly, after they saw Long Ting, this peerless beauty, enter the arena, there were already more and more cultivators around the arena, and they instantly gathered at an even faster speed. Those who were clear about Long Ting's identity and had a certain level of understanding of Long Ting's style were so stunned that their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. All of them notified their good friends at the first possible moment, and in order to show off their status and knowledge, they introduced Long Ting to the people around them, and told them who she was and why Brother Cho would agree to a cultivator with a battle record of 0 wins, 0 draws, and 0 losses who only had a bet of 10 celestial origin crystals. In less than half a minute, the atmosphere around the arena had reached an unprecedented level, and it was shocking. "Ugly guy. You dare to call yourself Chen Ritian? Do you know your mistake?" After Long Ting's name, record, and bet appeared on the screen, Long Ting entered the arena with one hand on her waist and the other pointing at Chen Ritian. The first sentence that came out of her mouth caused an uproar. What did she mean? Was it wrong for her to call herself Chen Ritian? Although this name was a little crazy, yes, it was a little crazy, but there were many more crazy names in the cultivation world, such as Heaven Manipulation, Heaven Destruction, and so on. Chen Hao was so shocked by Long Ting's words that he almost fell to the ground. "Damn, this is a public place. Can you not be so arrogant? You're too arrogant. You're the eldest daughter of the Long family, right?" However, Chen Hao had to admit that this girl's unruly, domineering, and arrogant appearance seemed to be very cute. She was very straightforward and also very naive. "What does it have to do with you what my name is?" Of course it has to do with me. Promise to change your name now, otherwise I'll let you know how to write the word pain, and what the true meaning of unable to live, unable to die is. Do you believe me?" Long Ting said as she pointed at Chen Hao's nose. Below the arena, Long Yi was speechless. What he was certain of was that his mischievous and eccentric little sister had done this on purpose, and under the premise that she knew that ugly person was Chen Hao. She naturally did it on purpose and with a purposed swish. Long Yi no longer hesitated and directly chose the viewing mode, disappearing from the spot. Come on then. I'd like to see who will tell who. When Chen Hao saw that Long Ting was so protective of his name, he was angry and amused at the same time. He originally wanted to trample on her, but his anger had been reduced by half. However, he wanted to punish her a little. Well, at least he wanted to see how powerful this girl was without relying on the magical power in her body. Therefore, for the first time in history, Chen Hao made the first move. The brilliant sword light was simple, direct, and sharp, but it contained thousands of mysteries. In an instant, it seemed to have covered all the vital parts of Long Ting's body. There was nowhere to hide, and she could only face it head-on. This lousy sword technique, break it. Long Ting's posture didn't change. She pointed at Chen Hao and simply retracted, extended, and spat out her hand. Whoosh! Chi. A fierce wind suddenly blew, like a hurricane that was going to destroy everything in the world. It whistled and gushed out from Long Ting's slender palm. There was no move, no technique, and no mysteries. There was only absolute power. The power of the wind. The whistling wind, the violent wind, the wind that swept the world and tore the space apart. Ah! In an instant, countless cultivators, who wanted to feel the pressure, aura, and mysteries of the battle between the two of them, who were in the middle of the two of them, without any mental preparation, screamed and dodged in horror. Those who could not dodge in time did not even dare to hesitate, and directly exited the spectator mode. Most people knew that Long Ting's large-scale attack with pure absolute power was terrifying. Only a few people who knew that Long Ting was more terrifying were not surprised. Rumble. When the sword light and the fierce wind met, the entire arena shook. What made Chen Hao's scalp tingle was that Long Ting this last was actually so fearsome. It should be known that although he had kept a lot of power in his sword, it also contained thousands of changes and was condensed to the extreme. It could be said that it was invincible. If Long Ting had used the same condensed ultimate technique, he would be able to understand. However, this girl had just casually used a palm strike, and it was a large area attack. There was no condensed technique to speak of. However, his sword light was completely drowned by the continuous wild wind. That was not all. The whistling wild wind actually continued to envelop him without any signs of slowing down. Could it be that this girl can use power that doesn't belong to her in the second world? This thought flashed through Chen Hao's mind. At the same time, the energy around him suddenly gushed out. With a rumble, it was like a rotating cannonball, riding the wind and breaking the waves. Accompanied by continuous terrifying explosions, it broke through the fierce wind and shot toward Long Ting. Humph, close combat? I'll fulfill your wish. Ding. Long Ting's eyes narrowed. She suddenly attacked. Her snow-white hand met Chen Hao, who was one with the sword, empty-handed. What made Chen Hao even more shocked was that when the sword and palm met, there was a sound of metal clashing. At the same time, Long Ting's hand, which was on her waist, finally moved. What a strong physical body. Chen Hao was shocked. Without thinking, he rushed up to the sky with a rumble and narrowly avoided Long Ting's other hand, which was as fast as lightning. Bang! At this moment, Long Ting also rushed up to the sky and followed him like a shadow. Her two palms were as fast as lightning. There was still no mystery and it was straightforward. However, the power contained in each palm had the power to collapse the mountains and split the earth. It made the scalps of the spectators numb. Brother Cho, who was always at ease and gave people an unfathomable feeling, was completely like a headless fly at this moment. He was attacked by the powerful Long Ting and dodged everywhere. He didn't even dare to face her head-on. In fact, none of the experts present dared to put themselves in his shoes. Even Long Yi didn't dare to. Damn, what's going on? Didn't she say that her combat power is not as good as Long Yi's? This is not as good as Long Yi's? She's only at the medium stage of the human celestial stage, but her strength is absolutely unmatched by those at the peak of the later stage of the human celestial stage. Isn't this too abnormal? The more Chun Hao fought, the more frightened he was. At this moment, he had already thrown the idea of trampling on Long Ting to the back of his mind. The only thing he wanted was to not be trampled on. Her absolute power was too strong. All his skills and mysteries were vulnerable in front of her. She could turn his attacks into ashes with a casual palm. There were only 3 points on Long Ting's body. First, absolute power. Second, absolute speed. And third, absolute defense. In front of absolute power, any skills were nothing. In the world of martial arts, only speed was invincible. In front of absolute speed, all flaws could be covered. Her absolute defense was so strong that Chun Hao, who was always confident in his physical body, couldn't help but admit his inferiority. With these 3 points, how could Chun Hao trample on her? Chapter 579. Ha ha ha. In the independent space of the aircraft, Long Ting, who was lying beside Chun Hao, laughed proudly and said, "Brother Hao, I'm ravaging that ugly bastard. I told him to change his name, but he didn't listen. Now he's running away like a rat. He's so scared that he's pissing his pants. He doesn't even dare to fight back. What a good-for-nothing. Good brother, if I want to kill him, I only need one move, but I won't. I must ravage him." In the second world, Chun Hao, who was already in shock, was so angry when he heard Long Ting's words. Damn, when did he piss his pants? But he couldn't say it out loud. He could only look at Long Ting and said, "Is the opponent weak?" "Weak. So weak that it's pathetic. I didn't even use any of my skills." "Well, actually, it's not that he's too weak, it's that I'm too strong." "Huh. Let's take off one of his arms first. Brother Hao, I've recorded the video. I'll show you when I ravage that ugly bastard." Fuck. In the arena of the second world, Chun Hao suddenly felt a sharp and fast aura appear beside him. At this moment, he realized that Long Ting wanted to take off one of his arms. In fear, Chun Hao's mind was pushed to the extreme, and he went completely crazy. Absolutely not. No matter what, he couldn't let this girl succeed. Otherwise, where was his dignity as a man? Where was his face? For the first time in the second world, even when he faced Long Yi, he didn't feel a sense of danger. This made Chun Hao completely serious. He couldn't lose. Especially, he couldn't lose to this girl. "Break for me." Boom. At this critical moment, Chun Hao tossed aside all distracting thoughts in his mind. His entire mind was immersed in the arena of the second world, immersed in this battle. This was also the first time that Chun Hao had truly pushed himself to the limit. Battle intent, strength, combat skills, as well as the comprehension of the heavenly Dao law, the use of energy, and even the carving technique that he relied on to save his life. Chi. At the moment of the explosion, Chun Hao turned into a stream of light. Brother Cho is dead. Brother Cho has finally lost. I can't blame her for losing. This Long Ting is really too strong. Why aren't the results out yet? Just when everyone thought that Chun Hao had been drowned by Long Ting's violent energy and had died, the display screen in the arena still did not show any results even after a few seconds of exclamation. What was going on? Suddenly, a sword light flashed. Ding. Puff. Break for me. Then Brother Cho, Chen Ritian, appeared with his mouth full of blood. He slashed out with his sword, and then his voice was heard. Then Long Ting's surprised voice was heard. However, Chun Hao thought that his attack would definitely succeed. He did not hesitate to take the attack of the residual energy of the explosion that had not completely dissipated. The sudden attack that merged with all things in the world was actually slapped away by Long Ting's jade-like hand. Long Ting's hand actually only had a cut, and a little bit of blood flowed out. How could this be? Chun Hao had suffered great physical injuries and attacked with the Carving Heart Sutra. Naturally, he had captured the life trajectory of every cell in Long Ting's body. No matter how fast Long Ting's reaction was, as long as she blocked with her body, she would definitely be cut off like tofu. However, with just a cut, Chun Hao felt that Long Yi's body had completely changed in an instant, and he could not go any further. Concealment. Chen Hao can completely conceal his aura in the second world. Wrong, completely wrong. This is a unique skill that he has mastered, not a divine artifact concealment magic treasure. Long Yi, who was immersed in the arena, was shocked. Long Ting was also shocked, because they were quite confident in their perception. They had also seen Chen Hao's concealment skills in reality. However, most of them did not think much of it. They just felt that Chen Hao's concealment skills were so strong that they could not sense it. After all, they were only in the human celestial stage. In the same stage, a slightly advanced concealment skill could deceive people in the same stage. You actually made me bleed? After a short moment of surprise, Long Ting looked at the blood on her hand, even more incredulously than Chen Hao. Damn it! Let's see where you can hide. Ah! Whoosh 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 whoosh. In an instant, Long Ting flew into a rage. She was furious and embarrassed. She had boasted shamelessly that she wanted to remove his arm, but not only had she failed to do so, she had even been made to bleed by him. She knew that Chen Hao knew as well. The only difference was that she did not let Chen Hao know that she knew that the ugly freak was Chen Hao. This was simply too embarrassing. Therefore, for the sake of her reputation, she did not care anymore and directly raised her strength to the peak. Violent gales and hurricanes were 100 times more terrifying than before. Moreover, they covered the entire arena and wreaked havoc. What was more shocking was that the hurricane at this moment was no longer a simple hurricane. It had condensed into many cold wind blades, which were as sharp as sword radiance. At this moment, Chen Hao didn't dare to integrate himself into everything in the world. Otherwise, without the protection of the true core strength, he would be cut into pieces by just relying on his body. Now the only thing he could do was to resist and fight head-on. Howl! The extremely ugly Chen Ritian violently attacked with his sword. Ding ding ding. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The enormous and terrifying pressure, the unbearable power, the power that caused Chen Hao's palm to crack with every block, instantly made Chen Hao incomparably miserable. However, under this enormous pressure, his state of mind was surprisingly calm even though his mouth was full of blood. The terrifying wind blades appeared clearly in his mind, and even their trajectories were completely under his control. At this moment, his brain was like a precise computer, calculating the recoil he would suffer after every block, the direction his body would move in, the distance his body would move in, and the order in which the other wind blades would appear. Everything was accurately presented in his mind. Hiss, 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 hiss. Countless white lights flashed. The cultivators who were in the spectator mode in the arena were forced to leave. Only a few genius disciples at the peak of the later stage of the human celestial stage could stay in the arena. Even Long Yi was scared because he was busy dealing with his sister's horrible attack. After Chen Hao was forced to show up, he was the focus of his sister's attack. How could he withstand it? After a moment, everyone was dumbfounded. Even Long Ting, who had launched her most powerful attack, opened her eyes wide. How could this be possible? Once or twice, everyone thought that ugly brother Chen Ritian was just lucky to be able to block all of Long Ting's attacks. But 3 times, 4 times, 10 times? For a full half a minute, Chen Hao looked as if he had been sent flying everywhere by the rebound force. He was like a rattle drum, but he was not hit even once by the dense and terrifying attacks. Even though he coughed up blood, and the webbing between his thumb and index finger was torn, which was a horrible sight to behold, all of it was because of the terrifying rebound force. At this moment, the cultivators who were shocked by Long Ting's horrible power started to be shocked by Chen Ritian's defense, which seemed to be chaotic but was perfect. Even those who thought Chen Ritian was unfathomable didn't expect his gifted combat skill to be so powerful. He is too powerful. I didn't expect this ugly guy is so powerful. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Exactly. I feel his gifted combat skill, reaction speed, and adaptability are better than Brother Long's. He is even more powerful than Chen Hao. That's for sure. At least, I haven't seen anyone who is so powerful. Nie Xiaofeng and Yin Zhongjian, who had been forced to leave the spectator mode in the first round, stared at the ugly guy in the arena. They were totally shocked. At the same time, some young geniuses who knew Long Ting was here were also shocked. He is so powerful. Long Ting's eyes were blank. She took a deep breath and said to herself, "No, I can't hesitate anymore." Condense. Chi. It was as if 10,000 swords had returned to their master. The densely packed wind blades suddenly combined into two into one, and 4 into 1. Their might and power instantly became even more terrifying. Long Ting knew that this was the only way. Otherwise, if this continued, it would be hard to predict who would win if she ran out of energy. Rumble. Rumble. Puff. Chen Hao's vision went dark. Although he felt very stifled, depressed, and humiliated, this was still the first time he had ever felt a life-threatening threat from World 2. Furthermore, there was nothing he could do to stop it or fight back against it. Boundless pain filled Chen Hao, and he knew that he was about to be defeated. This was the first time he had truly been defeated after coming to World 2. Furthermore, he had been killed by a girl who was many times stronger than him. Although he didn't want to admit defeat, there was nothing he could do about it. Rumble. Forget it. To everyone's surprise, the instant Long Ting's attack was about to reach Chen Hao's body, Long Ting actually waved her hand and detonated her attack, stopping the activation of her attack. It's boring to win with strength, Brother Hao? Hiss. After Long Ting finished speaking, she actually revealed a mischievous and proud smile to Ugly Person. Then, she turned into a ray of light and disappeared from the arena, leaving behind Ugly Person Chen Ritian with his eyes wide open. Beep. Beep. Challenger Long Ting unexpectedly left the second world. Arena champion Chen Ritian wins. You, hee. In the aircraft, Long Ting jumped up. Facing Chen Hao's wide eyes that were filled with anger, the girl stuck out her tongue and made a funny face as she smiled smugly. You, how did you know? Chen Hao asked angrily. He couldn't wait to push this girl down, take off her pants, and spank her ass until it swelled up. Unfortunately, he could only think about it. He couldn't even move. The only thing he could do was to look at Long Ting jumping up and down in front of him. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.